Happy holidays. Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. We are live here on the day after Christmas. I hope everybody had a very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate or don't. Hopefully you spent some time with loved ones, friends, family, etc. I did. We're going to go visit my side of the family after today, which is why we're going live today. Lots to discuss with all of you. So appreciate everybody tuning in. And hey, the Bears are technically still alive in the NFC Playoff Picture, although they are hanging on by a thread. We will get into everything coming up here on today's show. Shout out your city. Let us know where you guys are tuning in from. User says, love this channel. What's up, User? It's a little mysterious. Let us know where you guys are watching from. Let's see here. We've got... chat's still keeping up. We got George in Oklahoma City, Travis in Virginia, Keith Riggle in Rockford, Illinois. We got Xavier up in Wisconsin, Ash in Eagle Mountain, Utah, William in Las Vegas. We got Stephen in Dublin, Ireland. What's up, Stephen? What is it, about 10 o'clock there? G. Willie in Reno. We got MVP. Yo, Rogers Park, Northside. What's up, MVP? Mike Nintendo Master in Wake Forest, Edward in Sacramento, George in Riverside, Dan in Ocala, Florida. We got Kenny in Woodstock, Illinois. Travis in China. You got that VPN going, Travis. Chris in Apopka, Florida. Omar in New Jersey. My sister-in-law goes to college in New Jersey. Shout out Rutgers. Kyle, Omaha, Nebraska. We got John in Knoxville, Tennessee. Carlos in Minnesota. Shaquille in Evergreen Park, Illinois. Orlando down in Mexico. What's up, Orlando? Sean in Bel Air, Ohio. We got Unapologetic Truth in Indianapolis, Indiana. Continue to shout out your city. Let us know where everybody is tuning in from. What did you get for Christmas? Let me know. And did you get what you want? And if you didn't get something, well, hopefully we're able to provide a little holiday spirit and cheer here. Let us know what you got for Christmas. I'm trying to think of the best thing I got. It's so different for me now because this is my 8-month-old son's first Christmas, so it's way more, and happily so, about him now. It's so much more exciting watching him open his presents.
Is he really old enough to, like, open presents?
So, he kind of does. Obviously he doesn't know what's going on, really.
Yeah.
But, I will say the last couple of weeks, so, our Christmas tree in our living room is kind of like the crawl around space for him too. And so the last couple of weeks he's been opening, not fully opening presents, but he's very into colors. So there's this one present in particular. He basically almost opened the whole thing because he was just so intrigued with it. But if you kind of start opening it for him, he'll kind of get his hand in there and stuff. But obviously we have to help him. But he got a bunch of new toys, so he was excited about that. That, of course, was Rolly. Rolly, what did you get for Christmas? You have I know it's different when you're an adult now.
Yeah.
Honestly, as a kid, you're like, oh, I got another shirt. But then as an adult, you're like, oh, sick, I got a new shirt I can wear.
I did get this really nice Jordan tee that's
nice.
A Miami-themed thing.
Okay.
It's not like a Miami Heat shirt, but it's a Jordan/Nike, just
South Beach thing?
South Beach thing. So,
okay.
it kind of flies. I really like that shirt. I got this, wall art from Creed, which is my favorite, one of my favorite movies.
I did get some Bears jogger sweatpants. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think I will say this, though. That Miami Jordan shirt was as close as I got to, anything sports-related.
Nice.
This might be the first Christmas in my entire life where I did not get a piece of gear from one of my favorite teams.
Oh.
It was all
You gotta ask.
branded, just brand or just practical stuff, nothing very specific.
I want to read a couple of the ones in the chat. Andres says, I gave my brother a DJ Moore jersey. That's nice. Nice of you. John says, ham radio and guitar stuff. Bill says, Bears stocking hat. William, Bears hat. Dylan, DJ Moore jersey. Junior Jordan. He's shouting at his city there. We got Ash saying a Justin Fields jersey. I got an Xbox Series X and Madden. Nice, Mike Nintendo. Bears coffee mug from my daughter. Nice. That's nice. It'll definitely be fun when PJ gets to a certain age where he starts getting us presents, because it could be the worst present ever, but you're still just going to be like, damn, my kid just got me a present for Christmas. That's going to be amazing. Nintendo Switch from Wasim, nice. Marvin Harrison Bears jersey, a little custom. What do you do if he doesn't get drafted by the Bears in that situation? I don't know. Lego says 8-month-old daughter's first Christmas too. Shout out Lego. Shout out Lego. It's exciting times, man. A damn virus, so I'm still in bed. Oh, well, bear down. Yeah, illness going around. The chat sports office has been peppered with sickness the last, 3 weeks, Rolly? Been a petri dish in here. But it is what it is. All right, we'll keep the conversation going in a second, but do want to show some love to our sponsors today. Shout out to Prize Picks, daily fantasy made easy. We've been telling you guys about Prize Picks for a while, and I encourage you guys to get in. Bowl season still ongoing. Final stretch of the NFL season. NBA heating up. I was playing Prize Picks all day on Christmas Day with the 3 NFL games, with the 5 Christmas basketball games as well. 2 to 6 player entries. You can win up to 25 times your money. And with code CLNS, once you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, you get a deposit match up to $100. So check out Prize Picks, the best daily fantasy app out there. Also, shout out to Rocket Money, rocketmoney.com/BearsNow, the best personal finance app that exists. Save money with Rocket Money. They're going to cancel any unnecessary subscriptions that you may have. Just click cancel next to the ones you don't want anymore. You can set budgets. You can lower your bills with Rocket Money. They want you to have the most financial flexibility possible. They're going to help you out with that. rocketmoney.com/BearsNow. Both those links in the live chat. Shout out to Prize Picks. Shout out to Rocket Money, the best sponsors we could ask for. Shout out to them for sponsoring today's live show. Okay, Paleo with the super chat. I got a plug-in for my home that helps you track bats. It picks up echolocation signals from bats. Merry Christmas. Like the animals? Like the birds? That's a very fascinating present, Paleo.
I don't know what other thing he could track.
Well, at first I thought he was talking about some, like, baseball bat speed or something, but then I kept reading. I was like, I don't think he's talking about baseball. That's fascinating, Paleo. You seem like an outdoorsy guy. I've seen some of your photos on social media.
Well, based off his profile picture.
Picture as well.
That's a nice little turtle you got there.
So that's sick, man. That sounds exciting. I'm an outdoorsy guy, but I'm not like smart enough with stuff like that. Like, this sounds like so far beyond what I would even be able to like know.
It's pretty smart stuff right there.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
I just talk about sports, you know. That's Rolly and I's expertise. Do you guys want Matt Eberflus back next year? Our weekly check-in. I wish we would have tracked the percentages week by week, Rolly.
Like every week we had an exact number.
So this week, 36% yes right now. I do feel like that's higher than last week. It's pretty clear. When they win, the percentages go up. When they lose,
I guess that's how it works. I just remember the percentages before the Thursday night game against the Commanders. I believe it was just like at like
3%.
I was gonna guess. I was like 95% in favor of firing.
Before the Browns game, it was over 50-50. Bring them back, and then they collapsed again.
If they win that game, I mean, obviously close to the playoffs still. So,
I mean, think about this. They have 3 epic collapses this year. If they win just one of those, I'm not even asking for 2 or 3.
The worst collapse, by the way, is no doubt
they went out.
The Lions game. I know the Broncos one was bad, but the Lions one was worse.
Up 12 with 4:15 to go. That's hard to do.
That was bad.
I mean, and that one would have been huge too because it's an NFC win. The other 2 were AFC. So, like, in terms of tiebreakers, it would have helped you out. Plus, I feel like if they won that one, they might have won the Cleveland one too. Just in terms of like, hey, we're learning how to win these games.
This is actually a great point by Poppy Chulo Sets.
Oh, did I lose the 3rd place game?
But we have to check to see who's going to be in the...
Yeah, so let's figure this out, Rolly. We've got the Bears Now Fantasy Championship this week. The winner of my league versus the winner of Rolly's league.
And the winner of Rolly's league, drum roll please.
Let's hear it.
For Smokin' Jays, I think it's T. Robinson.
So my league was pretty much chalk the whole season. The top 4 seeds made the semis. The top seed beat the 2 seed in the final. Shout out to Chris Ashford for beating Jason Menard. So it's going to be Chris Ashford versus who?
T. Robinson.
T. Robinson. So we will track. Well, are they going to keep up with the points? Will they track the points? We may have to manually do it.
I think if they set their lineup.
Let me see this.
We
If I
can
can
go
set
back
my
and look.
lineup.
Because I can edit my lineup.
Yeah, you can set your lineup. So we'll message those 2 guys to make sure they do that. So Chris Ashford, Jason Menard, or who's the guy?
Troy Robinson.
Troy Robinson. Set your lineups. Whoever scores more points this week is going to win the Bears Now trophy, which we will order and ship out. We obviously haven't ordered it yet because we're going to get your name inscribed on it. So pretty sweet.
Sam Lakhtara falls in the title game.
Was he the 1 seed?
After being the number 1 team all year long.
What seed won the title?
2 seed. Troy was number 2.
So pretty chalky in both leagues.
We actually had an upset. We upsets in our semifinals. Or no.
Quarters?
Our first round, yeah. Our 3 and 4 seed, I think, both lost. So the 5 and 6 pulled off the upsets.
Oh, wow. Well, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Myro Stein, Gainsheimer, if Eberflus is back next season, I'm protesting at Hallis Hall. This is my gut feeling. I think there's a 42% chance he's back. I think it's a little less than 50-50, but I don't think it's 0. What do you, Rolly, gut check feeling?
Eberflus is back?
Not what you want, just like what you think.
You know how I feel.
We both want him gone.
35% back.
Okay. Like, I feel like if they win, I'll throw a scenario at you guys. They win out, and beating the Packers in Week 18 knocks Green Bay out of the playoffs. I could see the McCaskies pushing for bringing him back in that scenario. I wouldn't necessarily agree with it, but I could see that happening. All right, do you want Justin Fields back next year? Type 1
I know the answer to this
for
one,
yes,
too.
Type 0 for no. Let's update the poll for this one. We're at 65% no for Flus.
I mean, this is so clearly going to be 89% yes.
You're going to go 89? I don't think it'll be that high.
No, I promise you it's
I'll go
be that
81% on the poll.
You said, I don't think it's going to be that high. And it's 81.
89 to 81? That's a big difference.
Not really.
It's 82 right now, 79. 8%'s pretty significant.
No, I don't think it is.
Dude, if you're a 75% free throw shooter or 67, it's a big difference.
Well, that's different than a Bears Now poll.
Yeah, true. It's not apples to apples, I will agree. Oh, it's up. It's closer to Rolly now. It's 87%. Santi says yes. Tricky says yes. Eamon says bring me Caleb. We're going to talk about Caleb Williams today. Wasim says yes. Poop Guy says no. Michael says yes. Tricky says yes. Goatman says much different. I'm aware it wasn't the best analogy of all time. Mohammed says yes. Trouble Trio. Shout out Trouble Trio. Got his DJ Moore jersey.
That's what the one he went with?
Yeah, got himself a DJ Moore jersey. We might run that back this week as our raffle. Let us know in the chat. Do you want us to run back during the watch party this week a jersey, get your jersey of your choice to the winner? Y for yes, in for no. You guys seem to enjoy that. You guys pick a jersey. Y for yes, in for no. Let me know. Trouble Trio says yes. He's doubling down. He wants another jersey. James says I voted multiple times. I don't think it lets you vote multiple times, James. Now it's down to 83%. We'll see. Eddie Zuniga. I keep reading that Caleb Williams, his recent like on X, is not interested in the Bears, although he has no control over the team that picks him. Isn't that already a red flag? Well, Eddie, we're going to go over all of this. Little teaser. Stop looking too much into athletes' likes on Twitter. I'll just say that. I will just say that. So appreciate the question, though, Eddie. We are going to cover it all coming up, so stay tuned. We're going to dive into all of that in just a few minutes. moments. Wasim Khan with the Bears wide receiver room looking grim next year. Would you draft Marvin Harrison and either Tez Walker or Johnny Wilson in the third? And Eberflus?
This Tez Walker bus is just out of control.
Well, that's in the third, though?
My guy, but, I feel like every fan base wants Tez Walker.
Tez Walker, Johnny Wilson. First of all, they're completely different players. Tez Walker's a speed demon. Johnny Wilson's 6'7". But they could be both in that range, so we'll see. I could see them doubling down at receiver. Now, I keep hearing these ideas of take Marvin and Malik Neighbors with the first 2 picks. They're not going to do that.
Should.
But could they go receiver first round and third round?
My question to you, Harrison, and it's an honest question. What is the difference? And I know there is a little bit of a difference, but to me, isn't that much of a difference. If you went like Brock Bowers and like Malik Neighbors or Bowers and Marvin Harrison, I get that
the difference,
he's a really good run blocker too, but you're both pass catchers. You already have a good tight end. You're drafting a premium position, so why wouldn't you just draft a premium position, double down at wide receiver?
Well, the reason is a couple of reasons. One, you have no tight ends under contract except for Cole Kmet next year.
But
so
how
you're going to have to add.
Really need?
You're going to have to add 2 tight ends at least, no matter what. So if you can get Brock Bowers, that's intriguing. And number 2, name an offense in the NFL where 3 really good wide receivers all produce at a high clip. I don't think there's a single one. Even Cincinnati, like Tyler Boyd.
Seahawks.
No. Smith and Jigba's been fine, but he's been squeezed. Tyler Lockett's been squeezed in recent weeks. There's just too many mouths to feed. Brock Bowers can come in, and he doesn't have to be – he's not going to – you don't need him to be some 1,000-yard guy. He can continue to help you in the run game. You can run more two – another reason is personnel. You can run more 2 tight end sets. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I just don't – if you're going to me –
Also, if you draft a – let's just say you take Marvin Harrison and Neighbors.
I mean, all 3 of them have above 600 yards with 2 games to go. That's pretty good effective to me.
Yeah.
Seattle.
But, long-term, someone's my point is if you're taking a second receiver there, can't you get someone who at a different position that's probably going to be more impactful because he's going to get more
opportunity?
I
just think it's borderline the same thing as drafting Brock
I'm not
Bowers.
saying it's way different, but I do think it's different because you need another tight end.
The idea is but do you? You just paid Kmet. How often are you really running 2 tight end sets?
Well, for one, the Bears have the other 2 tight. Mercedes Lewis is a good blocker. He's 38, whatever. Tunyon's been so bad. Kmet's basically had to play both tight end positions most of the year. I don't think that's super sustainable.
I just think using a top 10 pick on a tight end and wide receiver is no different than drafting 2 wide receivers when you already have a good tight end.
I'm not saying it's way different. I do think it's a little different. Here's what I'll say, too, though.
If you had a dog shit tight end, different story.
You draft Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors. Who plays slot? You moving DJ Moore to the slot? You putting Neighbors in the slot?
I think Neighbors could play slot.
Sure,
I think they're all interchangeable.
Yeah. If you have Bowers a lot, LOL. I don't know what that means. It's an interesting point you make. I'm not completely disregarding what you're saying.
Personally, I do not think it would be smart to take – if you took Marvin Harrison Jr., if you also take Cole Kmet, Brock Bowers, I think that'd be very bad.
Why is it very bad, though?
Because I just don't think using a second pick inside the top 10 on a second tight end is worth it.
Well, a lot of it depends, too, on what you're doing in free agency. If you haven't added another edge, then adding a guy like Latu is probably a better use of your resources. But it's also a big board thing. If you pick MHJ, let's say you trade down to 3, take him at 3, you're picking at 8, let's just say. If it's like Bowers or Latu and your board has Bowers ranked way higher than Latu, you got to take Bowers.
I just don't think it would be smart.
I think this offense, and I think we've seen this in recent weeks, after DJ Moore and Cole Kmet, there's no playmakers in this whole offense. Literally, you got 2 good players on offense.
But that brings me to the point then. Then why not just go wide receiver?
Sure, you can.
I
would just look for more diversification because
my question
after Cole Kmet, the tight end room is fucking awesome.
But what is more valuable in the NFL? An elite wide receiver 3 or an elite tight end 2?
Well, but here's the thing, though. Bowers might be your tight end 1 within 2 years.
Well, then that makes Cole Kmet elite tight end 2. I think it's the same question.
Well, I don't know if that's a clear answer, though, an elite wide receiver 3 or elite tight end 2. I think it depends on what kind of offense you're running. Right?
And, yeah, I would agree. And
like Patriots are a great example. Was Aaron Hernandez not more valuable than whoever their number 3 wide receiver was?
Well, that's the difference between an elite tight end 2 and our wide receiver 2 wasn't good. We ran our offense through tight ends. How do you want to run your offense? That's why I think
Bowers
just
and Kmet
throwing away the idea of taking 2 wide receivers.
I'm not throwing it away. I just am probably a little more open to the Bowers idea because your
all
tight
I'm
end
saying
room
is that it
sucks
feels
after
like
Kmet.
the same thing to me.
I think it's a little different, but it depends on what kind of offense.
Because my thing is, if you're going to have Bowers and Kmet on the field, is Bowers not just going to be a bigger slot? So then why couldn't you just have a wide receiver there?
Well, it does a couple of things. One, you can get Kmet's snaps down just a bit, which will help extend his career. 2, he is a more explosive after the catch guy than Kmet is, so he's a different type of player, and while still being able to block. Whereas, sure, Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison, and DJ Moore is an insane wide receiver room, and I'm not completely against it, but like, again, one of those guys is getting squeezed out, and it's not like your number 3 receiver is making some massive difference in the run game. You know
I just think that you need more help on the other roster than to draft another tight end.
Yeah, look, if one of these edge rushers really emerges as like a guy you should take top 10, then I would probably go in that direction with my other pick. We'll see. I like Latu. He's a good player. I think Bowers is a better player. I think Neighbors is a better player. Like, I'll put it this way. I'd go Marvin and Neighbors right now over Marvin and Latu. Because I just think Neighbors is that much better of a prospect than Latu. We'll see. Like, I just watched these games. I don't think you'd agree with this. The defense, it's not like elite, but it's further along than the offense. Like, you need more players on offense. That's the way I see it.
I think you'd be better well-served trading down again.
That's also an option, which I would be very open to. But if there's not a trade you like, you got to take somebody.
I mean, I'm not dismaying the Brock Bowers' talent. Like, he's obviously really freaking good. I just do not think it'd be worth taking another tight end in the top 10 when you already have one of the better tight ends in the NFL.
Would you take Brock Bowers or a Dunze if both are available? Neighbors and MHJ are gone.
Who did you take in the first pick?
Just in a vacuum with your current roster. Let's say you trade down and you're picking at 8.
If you didn't already take a wide receiver, I'd take a Dunze.
Dunze over Bowers? Okay.
I'd rather have wide receiver.
I'd probably do that as well. It's close. All right, here's what's coming up live on Chicago Bears Now. We will get into my latest mock draft, and some of these names discussed could be involved, so stay tuned for that. Latest Bears news and rumors. Under the radar, Matt Eberflus replacements. We've talked about the usual suspects. I want to take a look at some other candidates out there, so stay tuned for that. We will get into a mailbag, #Bears or Super Chat. If you Super Chat, it's a guarantee to get on the show. We'll try to get to as many #Bears questions as well. Mock Draft 9.0. Might as well keep the train rolling. Another mock here. And then, yes, it's slim. Yes, it's unlikely. But I do want to outline the Bears' playoff path here on today's show, how they could get to the postseason. So all of that is coming up here on Chicago Bears Now, so stick with us. Caleb Williams' Twitter drama has Chicago Bears fans /Twitter all over the place, and we got to discuss it here on Bears Now by Chat Sports. I'm Harrison Graham. Caleb Williams likes a couple of tweets, and everybody starts freaking out, throwing out theories. What does it mean? So I'm going to show the tweet, show him liking it for 2 different tweets, and then kind of just give my reaction to it. So this first tweet, and these are both from fans on Twitter, only one option for the Chicago Bears in the NFL draft. It's not Caleb Williams. That's his handle. We want Justin Fields. The answer is Marvin Harrison Jr. This was on Christmas Eve, and of course, Caleb Williams liked the tweet. And everybody's like, What does that mean? Does he think the Bears should keep Fields? Does he think that Marvin Harrison's a better player than himself? Does he not want to go to the Bears because of this tweet? Oh, my goodness. Remember when his dad said we might be selective on where we're going to go? Well, that was before he didn't have exactly the season he was hoping for this year at USC. So that put everybody into a tailspin. And then on Christmas Day, this tweet goes out from Jimbo, James Sweener. I've waited my whole life for a quarterback like Caleb Williams on the Chicago Bears. I spent Christmas making this. There was a video attached to this. But I'm not paying for a blue check to post the full thing in one post. True freshman not supposed to be in this game. And it was the you can see it now because Caleb Williams liked the tweet. It was when Williams came into the game to replace Spencer Rattler in the Red River Shootout against Texas, went crazy, led the comeback. Rest is history. It took over as the start of the rest of the season. Went to USC, won the Heisman, all that good stuff. So kind of the tale of two spins. One tweet, don't draft Caleb. The other one, I've waited my entire life for a quarterback like Caleb Williams. So you've got that going on, which that's fine, but Caleb Williams liking both tweets, but Bears fans like, what does it mean? These are the takes I've seen. Number one, he doesn't want to be a Bear with him liking that first tweet. Number two, he thinks the Bears should keep Justin Fields. Number three, and I think probably the more logical one, and if you go dig through his likes a little bit more, like most athletes, he keeps receipts. He's a guy that we've seen him. He's an emotional player. He plays with the chip on his shoulder. He's probably bookmarking that for himself, like, oh, okay, y'all don't want me? All right, then, if I come there, I'm going to prove you wrong. Guys, we got to stop overreacting to this stuff. Like, I get it. It can be a storyline. I'm talking about it here on the channel, but I'm trying to, like, calm everybody down. What does this I promise you, Ryan Poles is not having Caleb Williams liked tweets about the Bears on the positive and negative side of things. It's not going to have him sway one way or the other to whether or not he's going to draft a quarterback. Like, let's be real. If the Bears want Caleb Williams, they're going to draft Caleb Williams, assuming they get the number one pick here, which, by the way, it's back up to like 97%, thanks to the Panthers' loss and the Patriots' win over the weekend. Like, I think he keeps receipts. Like, this is a kind of a egotistical guy. Like, he's a little bit cocky. Like, would it shock anybody if that's what he's doing here? He's like, all right, bet, I'm going to mark that down. And then on the flip side, fan shows him love. Hey, I've been waiting my whole life for this. He likes that tweet too. And by the way, if I was an athlete, I would just fuck with fans all the time and just like different tweets and just, what does it mean? Because this is what we do. We overreact to everything. So pump the brakes. Let's calm down. We don't have to overread into this stuff. I don't think it's going to carry any weight at all from the Bears organization in terms of what they're going to do with that number one pick. Now, I want you guys to weigh in. Do you want Caleb Williams? Type Y for yes. Type N for no. Do you want Caleb Williams? Get your votes in the comment section right now during this YouTube ad break. You look at Caleb Williams' career stats, which, of course, we've outlined plenty of times. Again, we're going to talk about this a million times. It's like beating a dead horse. Like, he's a really good prospect. I don't want to call him generational, but he's pretty damn good. Like, he makes incredible throws. The arm talent is crazy. He makes people miss in the pocket. He throws on the run. He's mobile. Like, he's very, very good. All I know is Ryan Poles has a big decision to make at quarterback and at head coach, and it's going to be a wild offseason for the Bears. We thought last offseason was pivotal, and yes, it was. This one's even more pivotal. Like, you know, this is the year 2 and 3 in this rebuild process for Ryan Poles is pivotal to whether or not this team is going to be a contender for the next 5 to 10 years or not. Like, you've got to make more right decisions than wrong. It started last offseason. I think you made a lot of good ones with the number one pick. I think you did some good things there, getting DJ Moore, more draft capital to put you in this decision, in this position to make this decision. It's going to be a wild offseason, man, and that's why you should subscribe. We're going to cover every Bears offseason move, every rumor that's out there, the latest news around the Chicago Bears. So hit that subscribe button here on the channel. You are not going to want to miss out on anything Bears related. And yeah, we're going to talk about Caleb Williams. We're going to talk about Justin Fields, trade rumors surrounding him, because there's going to be some. We're going to talk about Drake May. We're going to talk about head coach can't until these rumors and ideas are put to rest, like, it's still going to be out there, and it's my job to talk about all of it. So join the movement here. We are going to have it all covered for free. Okay, speaking of the current quarterback, DJ Moore defending him again, having to go to bat for Justin Fields as he continues to get asked about the future of his current quarterback. Here's what he had to say on 670 The Score this morning. He says, I don't really see why anything would change. He has grown every year. He has had 2 different offensive coordinators. He's grown more and more each year, even throughout this year. You can see his growth. Now, I said this last week, and I'll say it again. I think DJ Moore looks at this and is like, hey, I got great chemistry with this guy. Hey, I'm on pace to have a career year with Justin Fields, even though Fields missed 4.5 games and my production went down without him. Even with DJ Moore the last 2 games, dealing with a pretty significant ankle injury and the numbers being down the last 2 games, he's still on pace to have a career high in yardage, which was 1,193 yards back in 2020. He's about 55 yards away from that. So unless that ankle is a big problem, like I would expect him to surpass that over these next 2 games. 1,300-yard season, very much in range for him. Probably could have had a 1,500-yard season had Fields not gotten hurt. But I think he looks at this and he's like, "Hey, man, we're just getting started here." So I understand Moore going to bat for his guy, number one, just being a good teammate, and number two, selfishly just being like, "I don't get why it changed. I'm the number one guy here. I'm balling with this dude. Let's keep it rolling." So we'll see where it goes, obviously. But obviously, Ryan Poles has to keep the big picture in mind. And if he thinks Caleb Williams is an upgrade or Drake May's an upgrade, that's probably the direction he's going to go in. If you're looking to upgrade your pockets, get more money in your wallet, in your bank account, Rocket Money is going to help you do that. It's a personal finance app that can find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and help you lower your bills all in one place. With Rocket Money, they're going to list out your subscriptions for you. And what you're going to realize very quickly is you're spending more per month and annually on subscriptions than you probably even realize. You've probably signed up for some old streaming services you don't use anymore. Probably did a free trial. Then guess what? Boom, they started clipping you with that monthly bill when that trial ran out. A lot of people are spending over $200 per month on subscriptions. A lot of people think it's less than $100. It's not. Trust me, I'm a good example of that. I had to clear out some subscriptions just a few months ago, and now I'm saving a lot of money per month. And most Rocket Money customers, by the way, guess what? On average, saving $720 per month after getting going with Rocket Money. You can set budgets. You can get bills lowered by up to 20%. Trust me on this. Rocket Money is a great personal finance app that has over 5 million users and countings and over $1 billion in total savings with Rocket Money. It's a hell of an app. If you're like me, if you're married, you got a mortgage, you got a 8-month-old at home or other kids running around, it's not cheap. You got to monitor your spending, and Rocket Money is going to help you do that. Go to rocketmoney.com/bears now. Click that link. Download the app that supports us. That's going to support yourself with your money. And trust me, you're not going to regret it. rocketmoney.com/bears now. Download the app today. Let's get to the latest on Jimothy Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh still hasn't signed a contract extension with the University of Michigan. And stay tuned. I did kind of throw an interesting timeline thing at you guys a few weeks back, and that timeline has come and gone. But first here, Ian Rapoport says the NFL's coaching carousel is set to spin. Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh is weighing a huge decision whether to accept a massive new contract deal that includes a no NFL clause for 1 year. So, also, according to Rap Sheet, by the way, Jim Harbaugh has been offered a 10-year, $125 million contract. Basically a brand new deal. His current deal runs through 2026, but the new deal is $12.5 million per year. It would start next year. It would make him essentially the highest paid coach in college football along with Nick Saban. But the one caveat is for this upcoming offseason, right here, right now, he cannot negotiate with NFL teams. So it would guarantee him at Michigan through at least next season, which to me, I'm thinking, oh, that's a pretty good deal if I'm Jim Harbaugh. Just 1 more year, worst case scenario. If I really want to come back to the NFL next year, I can. But if not, I've got this sweet 10-year contract I can do. But he still hasn't signed it. And remember, we were told in early December by a source here at Chat Sports that Jim Harbaugh had a self-imposed deadline of Christmas Day to sign a new contract at Michigan. If he got terms he wanted, he would sign it. Well, Christmas has come and gone. Michigan made their offer, and no deal has happened yet. Now, could Harbaugh change his mind and sign it later? Of course. I'm not saying that Michigan's going to pull the offer or something like that. The source we've heard from is from the Harbaugh camp, not from the Michigan camp. But it's getting pretty interesting, man. Like, that's a pretty damn contract to not accept if those details are true. And you can only tell me one thing, and I'll tell you that one thing here in just a minute. But if you want Jim Harbaugh as the Bears head coach, type me down in the comments. If you want Jim Harbaugh as the Bears head coach, type me down in the comments. You know what I want. I want Harbaugh in Chicago. And what this tells me, why he hasn't signed it yet, is what I've thought for a while now, going back a couple of years. Jim Harbaugh wants to be back in the NFL. Why would you not take a 10-year, $125 million contract to stay at Michigan? Because the college game is a headache. Because you've got the NCAA coming after you with these level 1 violations. You got to deal with recruiting. You got to do all this extra work with the transfer portal now. And I think Harbaugh wants to win a Super Bowl. He's seen his brother do it. He sees his brother going for another one here. If he wins the national championship here at Michigan this year, is that not the perfect time to leave? If you are Jim Harbaugh, like, you leave now. Hey, came back to Michigan, my alma mater, got a national title. Let's jump to the NFL, try and do the same thing with the Chicago Bears. And again, like I told you a few weeks ago, the Bears were the top job he's interested in. I don't know if the Bears are going to fire Matt Eberflus, but if I knew that I could get Jim Harbaugh and I was Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren, I would be jumping all over that. So we'll see what happens. I think he wants to be in the NFL. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. But I do know this, at least in early December from Harbaugh's camp, he set a Christmas deadline. Contract was offered. As of now, he has not signed it. We will see what happens moving forward. Of course, Michigan plays in the college football playoff on New Year's Day, 6 days from now. So if they lose that game, the clock could really start ticking because he might start negotiating with NFL teams at that point. All right, more news to come around the Chicago Bears. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. All right, Money Talk Jay, how would you feel if the Bears stick with Fields? I'm cool with sticking with Fields. I kind of came to this conclusion last week. Like, I'm cool either way. I will, once the season's over and I, kind of do my final evaluations, I'll do a video probably. The whole video the thumbnail will probably say my decision, and I will let you guys know what I want to do at quarterback. Now, I might wait for a potential coaching search because that could impact my decision, but we'll see what happens with Flus, obviously. But I will give you the direction that I would go in at some point early on in the offseason. But I'm cool with either side of it. I really am. I think there's pros and cons to both. It's risky to keep Fields and he doesn't keep developing. And if Caleb Williams becomes generational, it's risky to go Caleb Williams or Drake May and they flop. You at least know what Fields is to a certain extent. So, yeah, I'm cool with Fields. I've been one of Justin Fields' biggest advocates and supporters for the last couple of years. So I would certainly be fine within a fourth year of him. Aaron Wolf, are there any teams that have 2 potential first-round picks this season and one of them at least in the top 10? That would be the trade to make. Arizona, they've got their own pick, which is currently number 3. And the Texans pick, which is currently, let me look this up. The Texans pick is currently the 16th pick. So Arizona has 3 and 16. So those are the Bears and the Cardinals are the only current teams with multiple picks. So if Arizona pivoted and decided they want to go quarterback and they trade up from 3 to 1, you could drop the 3 and take Marvin Harrison. Cool. Not convinced they're going to do that, though. Stephen Kennedy, Harrison, do you have a way to send you a spreadsheet, i.e. email, as I don't use social media? It's about Justin Fields' comparison with 4 different QBs for the first 3 years. Well, gosh, I'd hate to verbally say my email address out loud right now. I feel like you guys will just pepper me with emails. Steven, can you not create a Twitter or an Instagram that you literally never use? I know if I say my email right now, I'm going to wake up to 100 emails tomorrow. from you guys. So I'm a little hesitant, Steven, to just say my email out loud. So I don't know how else to answer that. At HGramNFL on Twitter and Instagram. I will say that. I'll tell you what, Steven, if you create a social media and DM me, I will message you an email you can send me stuff to, but so we don't have to go back and forth via social media, but I don't want to say it out loud right now. Chris Lopez, what type of haul could the Bears get from the Chiefs for the number 1 pick? I mean, the Chiefs right now, let's just say they're at their current pick. 25, I mean, what, Rolly? 3 firsts, 2 seconds, and a premium player?
And Chris Jones.
Well, Chris Jones, maybe in a tag situation, tag and trade. 3 firsts, 2 seconds, and a Chris Jones? I'd probably do that, honestly.
25 to 1, is that the biggest jump in
I mean, what was the Jared Goff one? 15 to 1? That was pretty far.
Yeah.
That was 3 firsts and another pick, I believe.
Could always do the they would probably still say no to this, but remember that trade where Washington gave, or is it New Orleans gave Washington their entire draft for the number 2 pick?
Was that for the Robert Griffin?
No, that was for
Ricky Williams?
Yeah, the running back.
Ricky Williams.
They gave up their entire draft for one guy.
I don't even think I'd want that. I'd rather have just 3 or 4 premium picks. But
I don't know, drafting at another team's position for an entire draft would kind of be sick.
Have like 17 total picks.
Yeah, you have 2 drafts.
Yeah.
One if you were good, one if you were bad.
But I can't, if I'm dropping to 25, I got to get more than just 1 extra first-round pick. That's the only dilemma. But
you get this entire draft and next year's first.
Maybe.
They wouldn't even need to trade up to 1 to get Marvin, though, so I assume that's what the Chiefs would be
doing.
I
think that's what Chris is going for. Yeah. We'll see. Tito, being at the game showed me 2 things. After DJ and Kmet, this team has no other talent. That's become pretty clear. Also, nothing new, but Getsy can't scheme his players open. Literally all 3 receivers running same routes. He's a joke. Yeah, I saw something recently that I can't remember if it's for the whole season or if it was from, like, you know how sometimes you see these charts from weeks 9 to 16 or something like that. The Bears, for whatever stretch this was, and this included DJ Moore, who gets separation, dead last in separation in the NFL, the Bears receiving core. So that tells you 1 or 2 things. 1, your receivers aren't that good. 2, your offensive play caller doesn't know how to scheme guys open, which I think after DJ Moore, both those things are pretty true. So, not ideal. Zachary, first time super chat. 2, 3, 4, 5. Shout out to Zachary. Appreciate it, brother. Timothy, he says, hypothetically, if Harbaugh were to come, would he want to bring in J.J. McCarthy, or would he keep Fields and build around him with more premium talent? Even if he wants McCarthy, there's no scenario where you would take him with the number 1 pick. I don't care what anybody says. Like, as much as I want Harbaugh, if he said I'm only taking the job if we take JJ number 1, I would actually say, well, it's not going to happen. So, now if you wanted to get him in some trade down scenario with a day 2 pick or something like that, I could get behind that, but not number 1 overall. I don't know if you'd want to keep Fields. I will say this. I think if you bring in Harbaugh, he should have big say with the quarterback decision. But again, that does not include drafting J.J. McCarthy, number 1 overall. Harrison Graham's beard with a super chat. Whatever happens, I think Poles will do right. You can't go that, like, I think Poles has earned the trust of this decision, but that doesn't mean whatever he decides is going to be the right thing. We won't know that for a little while. Now, could you have a decent amount of peace of mind of, hey, whichever route he goes, you feel comfortable and confident with the decision? Sure. But that doesn't guarantee it's going to be the right choice. Doesn't matter how good the GM is. There's no guarantees. Luis Valles, he says, do you think Poles could take an unconventional draft, trade down, but draft someone like Penix Jr.? Funny you say that. Stay tuned. Why draft a QB similar to the one you gave up on? Well, I think Fields and Williams have some similarities, but there's also a lot of differences too. Like, The main similarity is at times they both hold the ball too long and they fumble, but that doesn't mean they're like mono-e-mono quarterbacks. Fields, much more dynamic runner. Williams, quicker passing release. I think he's a better intermediate thrower of the football. Fields, better deep ball thrower. So there's definitely differences. There's no doubt about it. I think Caleb is a better tight window ball thrower, I would say. So, they're not the same, but they do have some similarities for sure. All right, let's jump into our second segment here. We will get into a mailbag after this upcoming segment. So hashtag Bears if you keep super chatting. We'll get those questions in as well. But coming up next, we're going to talk head coaching candidates with a twist. Stay tuned. On today's episode of Chicago Bears Now, I'm going to take a look at some under-the-radar head coaching candidates if the Bears decide to move on from Matt Eberflus. We've done a lot of Flus replacement videos where we talk about mostly the same suspects, like my top two candidates, for example, Jim Harbaugh, Ben Johnson, the head coach of Michigan, who, by the way, did not sign a new contract by Christmas, which was a self-imposed deadline by Harbaugh. He, of course, has the right to change his mind on that. We'll see what happens there. Ben Johnson, who I'm a big fan of, the Lions offensive coordinator, has done a great job with Jared Goff in that offense. Those are my top two guys. That's not changing anytime soon, I don't think. But I do think there are some new names that have emerged that I do think are worth interviewing, and I could be very much talked into these guys as being the next Bears head coach. Now, if you want Matt Eberflus fired, let me know by liking this video. Hit that thumbs up icon. I certainly know that some people don't want him fired and want him back, so if you're in that camp, comment why he should stay. Give me 1 to 3 reasons in the comment section why Matt Eberflus should stay for a third season as the next Bears head coach. So like the video if you want him fired, or comment down below why he should get to stay for another season. Okay, let's get to some under-the-radar head coach candidates. Number one here, and this isn't necessarily in order, but just 5 different guys. Todd Monken, the Baltimore Ravens offensive coordinator, who has just really taken Lamar Jackson to another level as a passer, in my opinion. Now, some of it is the Ravens have finally given him some adequate receiving weapons, whereas like early in his career, his top receiver was like Willie Snead, for example, so it was hard to get big plays in the passing game. But Lamar's having a career year as a passer. I mean, the completion percentage is way up. He's already has a career high in passing yards. Like, the passing yards aren't like blowing anyone out of the wire. 19 touchdowns to 7 picks isn't some like mind-boggling stat. But you got to remember, they get in the red zone a lot. They use those running backs. Lamar's run it in 5 times for scores. He almost has 800 yards rushing, outside shot of crossing 1,000 with 2 big games coming up. He's having a great season, and Todd Monken, I think, has unlocked this Ravens passing attack, which at times was lacking throughout the first portions of Lamar's career. And, I tweeted this out the other night, and someone messaged me like, Monken, he was a head coach at Southern Miss, his only head coaching experience, and he got fired. Well, number one, that's not true. So let's go through his resume, and this is just his last 12 years or so. He was a coach earlier in his career at Oklahoma State as assistant coach, Eastern Michigan offensive coordinator. Like, he's been around. He's bounced around. He was the Oklahoma State OC, which, by the way, they were firing away in the early 2010s with some really good talent. That got him the Southern Miss head coaching job, which he took over an 0-12 Southern Miss team, and it took a little bit. 1-11 in year 1, 3-9 in year 2. Year 3 goes 9-5, leads them to the conference title game and to a bowl game for the first time in a while. And no, he did not get fired. He resigned and went back to the NFL to become the Bucs OC. You think Southern Miss is going to fire him after going 9-5? Absolutely not. So he goes to Tampa. He's their OC, has some success there, becomes the Browns OC in 2019, which was under Freddie Kitchens, I believe, and that year kind of got wonky in Cleveland. Goes back to the college game, is the Georgia offensive coordinator, maximizes a limited talent in Stetson Bennett. They win 2 national championships. A guy like Brock Bowers, he helped develops there as well. Jumps back to the NFL and has this Ravens offense absolutely humming in both the air and on the ground. The point is, he's been around. He's built a resume. I think he's at least worthy of head coach interviews. Like, a few years ago, his name was thrown around, like when he was with Tampa. It didn't happen. Goes back to the college game. Now he's back in the NFL where he wants to be. He's 57 years old, so he's older, but he's not too old to be a head coach. I just wonder, like, especially if you do keep a guy like Justin Fields, could he be a guy that really unlocks Fields more as a passer? Maybe. I think he's someone I would look into. Speaking of Baltimore, how about the defensive coordinator? Kind of a tale of two candidates within one franchise here. Mike Macdonald, a not even quick riser, an extremely fast riser in this business, has built up or just risen up the coaching ranks very quickly. In 2014, he was an intern for the Ravens. That's not even a decade ago. Worked his way up to linebackers coach in 2020, becomes the Michigan defensive coordinator under Jim Harbaugh. That's a theme here too, by the way. John Harbaugh in Baltimore, Jim Harbaugh in Michigan. Goes back to Baltimore in 2022 and 2023 to be the Ravens defensive coordinator. For my money, they have the best defense in football right now. Now, here's something to consider when it comes to Mike Macdonald. His base defense is a 3-4. Now, if you watch them play, Kyle Van Noy's basically just a fourth defensive lineman. They bring him on rushing the quarterback all the time. He is pretty multiple. He changes up looks. But the Bears' base defense has shifted to a 4-3, so you do have to ask yourself, personnel-wise, do you think this defense can shift back to a 3-4? Do you want to shift back to a 3-4? You've given Montez Sweat almost $100 million. You've got a key decision to make on Jalen Johnson. You've invested in off-ball linebackers. Like, if you have questions about those players' abilities to switch schemes, then maybe you're a little more hesitant there. But he's a pretty smart guy. I think he could make this personnel work and shift his defense around that if needed to. And again, you're looking at some different tale of two guys here. Todd Monken, been around the coaching game 25 years or so. Mike Macdonald's 36. He was an intern 9 years ago. And he's a defensive guy. So you couldn't ask for two polar opposites, but they've both done a hell of a job, and for my money would be up for best coordinators of the year in the NFL this year, and they just happen to be on the same staff in Baltimore. So pick a coach. Who would you rather have? If it's Todd Monken, type TM. If it's Mike Macdonald, type MM. Get your vote down in the comments below. I'd be open to both these guys. I tend to want to go offense if you go away from Matt Eberflus, but let me know what you guys think. TM for Monken or MM for Macdonald. Appreciate Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Daily Fantasy is made easy with Prize Picks. Rolly and I play Prize Picks every single day with NFL entries, NBA, college basketball, college football bowl season. It's fun. Makes these games more spicy when you put some money down. I got a little two-player entry this week in the NFL. Give me more on the DJ Moore receiving yards. I know he's been nicked up with that ankle, but he's due for a big game this week, 66.5. I think he tops that number this week. Give me the more. Geno Smith playing against a stingy Steelers defense this week. It is at home, but it took Geno a while to get going last week against Tennessee and not as talented football team, so I'll go less there. 10 to win 30, 20 to win 60, 3 times your money on that entry. You can win up to 25 times your money with Prize Picks if you do jump to a 6-player entry. Don't take my word for it. Rapper Meek Mill, comedian Andrew Schultz, they're playing Prize Picks on a daily basis. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use our code CLNS to get started today. All right, Dave Canales, the offensive coordinator with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Definitely under the radar, right? We have not talked about any of these guys up to this point in the season. He's kind of revitalized two quarterbacks in the last 2 years. He was the quarterbacks coach in Seattle last year for Geno Smith. And you look at the numbers Geno put up last year, resurrecting his career, versus Baker Mayfield this year, who has resurrected his career. Geno Smith was a fringe top 10, top 12 quarterback last year, who, by the way, has regressed this year. He's still been solid, but not nearly as good, with Canales not in that building anymore. 30 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, a QB rating of over 100 last year. Baker Mayfield, who it's been a little up and down, but he's been red hot recently. 26-8 touchdown interception ratio, rating of almost 100. We kind of wrote Baker Mayfield off. Tampa signed him to like an $8 million deal, thinking Kyle Trask would probably win the job. Baker won it, and he's run away with that job, and they're about to win the division. I think you have to account these last 2 years of what he's been able to do to maximize these kind of journeyman quarterback in the NFL and say, hey, if he can get the most out of these guys, what could he do with the Caleb Williams, with the Drake May, a Justin Fields, if you keep the current quarterback and help a young quarterback grow and build around his strengths? I don't think this regime of Matt Eberflus and Luke Getsy have done a good job of quarterback development. I don't. And I just refuse to believe that a better coach couldn't have gotten more out of Justin Fields these last few years. We've seen some flashes. We've seen some really good play. But I don't think Luke Getsy, and I'm throwing Matt Eberflus in the mix too because he's the head coach, have done a great job of doing that. So I think what Canales has done is very interesting. He's 42 years old. He's a young guy. Is he ready to be a head coach? I don't know. That Bucs offense has been pretty damn good, though, and I would definitely be interested in interviewing him. Guys, we are closing in on 83,000 subscribers. Join the family here at Bears Now. Subscribe today. We need 728 more. Trying to get there by New Year's. Can we make it happen? We got a watch party between now and New Year's as well, Christmas or New Year's Eve. So if you want to support the movement, it's 100% free. Daily Bears videos. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button. Patrick Graham. Guys, Patrick Graham, the Raiders defensive coordinator, has done a hell of a job this year. I mean, you could make a strong case for everything that team has gone through, firing their coach, firing their offensive coordinator, having brutal quarterback play. What he's done with that defense, I mean, guys, have y'all watched the Raiders play recently? That defense is unbelievable. I mean, they pick up Jack Jones off the streets. He's getting pick sixes 2 weeks in a row. Like, they're making plays all over the place. Malcolm Kuntz has been unlocked, the edge rusher opposite of Max Crosby. Crosby continues to be unbelievable. The Raiders on Christmas Day, if you watch that game, they beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And I know they've been a bit of a mess this year, but still, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in Arrowhead Stadium on Christmas Day, despite Aiden O'Connell, their own quarterback, not completing a single pass after the first quarter in that game. What does that tell me? That tells me the defense shut it the fuck down. I mean, they absolutely dominated that game defensively for Vegas. And it's not just a one-hit wonder. Go check out their recent games. They are shutting teams down. Like Patrick Graham, I know Antonio Pierce is making his case to be the Raiders head coach. Patrick Graham is making his case not only for Vegas, but for other teams that he should get head coach looks as well. And Patrick Graham runs a 4-3 base. So if you do want to go defense and stick with the current base defense you have, maybe Patrick Graham is an interesting name to consider. But again, with any defensive-minded head coach, you've got to be sold that guy is going to bring in a proven play caller because don't want to go the Luke Getsy route again. What type of head coach do you want? Type O for offense, D for defense. For that reason, I would still lean offense. But there are certain scenarios where if you go defensive head coach, I could get on board. O for offense, D for defense. Let us know in the comments section. Frank Smith, who out of all these five guys, we've at least touched on a little bit in other videos here on Chicago Bears Now, Dolphins offensive coordinator. The one downside with him is he doesn't call plays. So that makes me a little bit more hesitant. All these other four young coaches, Monken, not super young, obviously, they're in charge. They're calling plays on offense or defense. Smith does not. Now, he helps come up with the game planning. I think he does deserve some credit with what Tua and that Dolphins offense is doing. But remember, it's the Mike McDaniel show in Miami, which, again, it's painful to say that the Bears didn't even interview him 2 years ago when they interviewed like 15 head coach candidates. They couldn't interview Mike McDaniel for some reason, but Tua having a great year, MVP type of season for the Dolphins. Probably won't win it, but he's going to be top five. I think Frank Smith I would definitely show interest in. I'm a little hesitant there because, again, he doesn't call the plays, but he's definitely worth a look if you ask me. So who is your dream Bears head coach? I want to know. Your dream Bears head coach. Type his name in the comments section and let me know who you want to lead the Bears. And if you still want Matt Eberflus, you can type his name as well. I still want Jim Harbaugh. He's still my top guy. I get it. He's a bit of a lunatic. He's a bizarre guy. I just trust that. I said it a few weeks ago. I don't think you have those three colossal collapses if Harbaugh's the head coach. Sure, maybe you lose one of the three. It's the NFL. Weird shit happens. But I don't think you lose all three. I think with a better head coach, with a better mentality, would have had this team in the playoffs this year. And if the Bears believe that, then they should upgrade a head coach because, sure, things are improving under Matt Eberflus. Sure, he's kept this team together. Yes, the defense has played pretty well. Is it enough to justify keeping him, though, if there is a clear upgrade out there like a Jim Harbaugh? I don't think it is. So I want Harbaugh. Let me know who you guys want in the comments. And be sure to subscribe because we're going to continue to cover this day in and day out regardless of what's happening. News, rumors, coaching discussion, quarterback discussion. It's all going to be a talking point here on Bears Now. We're going to talk about all of it. All righty, hashtag Bears or Super Chat. Get some shout-outs here. DT says Mike Tomlin. Well, report coming out of the last game is the Steelers are probably going to extend him. Someone says Flirty Flus. Unapologetic Truth wants Ben Johnson. George Hallis. Yeah, it'd be nice if he could rise from the dead. That'd be nice. Olin Kreutz, OC. He's a high school head coach. I forget what school that is. That's not going to happen, though. Mike Ditka. I always look this up when you guys mention Ditka. You guys guess in the comments right now how old Mike Ditka is. First person to guess it right gets a shout-out. Josh McDaniels from Styles. Please, no. God. Can I say John Harbaugh? You said dream. Yeah, but that's not a dream. That's like winning the lottery. It's not going to happen. Brian Urlacher? No. He's not coaching. I'm cool with the new OC and keep Flus if Harbaugh says no. Yeah, I mean, you're towing the line there. You got to be very careful if you operate like that. If you try to go get Harbaugh, but if he decides not to come, you keep Flus. Like that's a dangerous game you're playing, man. If Flus catches wind of that, can we bring? That Eamon. That's a good hashtag Bears question. We'll probably get into that. Lovey Smith from Bright. Yeah, it's over for Lovey. DeAndre says Lance Briggs. The first one to guess it right, by the way, was DeAndre Jackson. He is 84 years old. All right. It is mailbag time. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat. We'll hit any Super Chats that have come up. We'll get some hashtag Bears questions in there as well. So let's dive in here on Chicago Bears Now. I see you, Xander. I see you, Aaron. We'll be sure to get those on screen. Bears mailbag time here on Chicago Bears Now. I'm Harrison Graham. We'll get to some Super Chats in a second, some other hashtag Bears questions as well. F. Marsh saying, what are your 2024 expectations for Chicago? It's at minimum, you got to be a playoff team, man. I mean, this year it wasn't necessarily playoffs or bust, so you could say, well, then why are you on the fire Flus train? Well, because you had it right there in front of you, man. You had 3 colossal meltdowns. If you win just 2 of them, hell, even 1 of them, you're firmly in the playoff race, and you lost all 3. So next year, you got to be a playoff team. Even if you and that's why the quarterback decision is so interesting. It sucks for whichever rookie comes in if they go that route, but if you draft Caleb Williams or Drake May and you keep building this roster, I don't care if they're a rookie. To me, my expectations are being in the playoffs next year, and I think if certain things go right, you could be a team that wins a game. I really do. You're about 5 plays away from being an 8-6 football team right now, which would have you firmly as the number 6 seed, or not 8-6, 9-6. If you won all 3 of those collapses, think about that. You could be 9-6, 8-7 if you blow one of those 3 games. It's ridiculous, but. Yeah, it's playoffs. You got to be a playoff team, and I think you might, have goals of winning a playoff game. I don't think that's completely out of the realm of possibility next year. Will the Bears make the playoffs next year? Type Y for yes or type N for no. I know it feels like they're never going to get back to being good, but there are reasons for optimism, guys. You've got the number 1 pick in your back pocket, barring Carolina winning out. You've got a ton of cap space. You've got young players that have improved a lot this year. You should be a playoff team next year. It's okay to have those expectations. Aaron Wolf, would you trade back to Atlanta for their first, second, and third this year and next year's second? So right now, the Atlanta Falcons have the 10th pick. So you trade from 1 to 10, pick up 10, their second, which would be 42. and then like their third, which would be like 78, something like that. Next year's second, maybe 1 to 10's a big drop though. I think I got to get another first round pick in there. I think it would have to be next year's first instead of a second. Harrison Graham's beer. Part of my decision of wanting to keep Justin Fields is because I really want Marvin Harrison. I don't think we get him if we get a QB. I hear that, and I really want MHJ as well, but if you're hell-bent on getting a receiver and you get one of MHJ Neighbors or Adunze, I'm still going to be pretty happy. Like, I don't feel like MHJ is just it's him and then a massive drop-off. I think there's a little bit of a drop-off. Like, Neighbors, it doesn't have the size MHJ has. Adunze is probably slightly less explosive, but those three guys, I mean, it's an impressive trio. It really is. So if you get one of those three, I'd still be pretty happy. Paleo, Justin and Caleb follow each other on social media, so maybe Caleb is just showing Justin some support, saying Fields should be the Bears QB. So this is in reference to Caleb Williams liking a tweet where someone said he's not the answer and Justin Fields is, draft Marvin Harrison. My takeaway is I don't read too much into that type of stuff, but that's an interesting angle, Paleo. I think it's more likely Caleb Williams likes to keep receipts / he's just messing around with fans. Bright to MC, do you honestly think Caleb Williams wants to play here? He just recently hinted we should keep Fields. Again, the like tweet stuff. I think Caleb Williams is going to go number one, and he's going to play where he gets drafted. That's what I think. Like, sure, he may have ideal teams he should want to play for, but call me crazy, and I get the Bears' lack of quarterback history. Who picking in the top 5 or 6 is going to have a better situation to walk into next year? He has a number one receiver sitting right there in DJ Moore. He has a team that's got a lot of cap space. He has a team that is a pretty damn good defense that should be even better next year. Potentially another big-time receiver as well that's going to be there. Like, if he goes to Arizona, he has none of that. If he goes to New England, he does not have good receivers. If he goes to, who else is up there? The Giants, if they move up, they don't have a guy like DJ Moore. So, like, I get the history, but the Bears are not a typical team drafting number one overall. I'll just say that. Xander Z, do you think we could get Bill? Belichick? Is that who they're talking about? Maybe. I don't want him, though, as crazy as that sounds. I don't trust him to pick the right offensive coordinator. Now, in some bizarre scenario where Ryan Poles has say on the OC and Bill Belichick doesn't have any involvement in the draft, could I maybe get behind it? Sure, but you kind of just have a poor man's version of that now, where Matt Eberflus, we know he can coach defense. We know he knows what he's doing on that side of the ball. Yes, Belichick would have better control of the overall thing than Flus does. I'm not suggesting Flus is Belichick. I'm just saying, like, there is an overlap and similarity there where it's like, yeah, the current guy you have, we know he can coach defense, but he hasn't evaluated offense good at all, Belichick, in years. There's no evidence Flus can evaluate offense. And you'd have to trust him to hire the right OC, which Belichick hasn't done in a while, and neither has Flus, who chose Luke Getsy, who has not been very good at all. So I'm not that interested in Bill Belichick. All right, Rocket Money is something not only I'm interested in, is something I'm using every single day. Personal finance app that keeps me on top of my finances. They help me cancel some unnecessary subscriptions when I first downloaded the Rocket Money app. Now I'm spending at a manageable pace every single month, which is critical because, you're starting college funds for my son. My wife and I have a big-time mortgage with our house, so you really got to be careful with your spending and set those budgets, and you can do that with Rocket Money. They'll send you alerts throughout the month of if you're on track with your budget as well. You can also even negotiate to lower your bills by up to 20%. All you have to do is take a picture of your bill, and Rocket Money will take care of the rest for you. With over 5 million users and counting, Rocket Money has helped save its customers an average of $720 per year and over $1 billion in total savings so far. Think about that. What could you do with an extra $720? You probably could have done all your Christmas shopping, which would have been very, very nice. So stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel those subscriptions that are just getting charged to your bank every single month, and they're just sitting there. You probably have an old college Spotify account that you don't use anymore, et cetera, whatever the case may be. Download the app today, rocketmoney.com/bears now. It's rocketmoney.com/bears now. Start saving money with Rocket Money. Trust me, you're not going to regret it. Aaron Wolf, do you think it's a mistake to get rid of Eberflus unless we get Jim Harbaugh, considering how hard the team continues to play for him? No, I don't think it's a mistake. Now, is there a scenario where keeping him it could be the right choice too? Of course there is. Like, we can't predict the future, but I mean, are players just going to stop playing hard if you change head coaches? I don't think so. Like, they're playing for contracts. Like, they're putting food on the table. Yeah, some of those defensive guys, they might want to keep Flus, and I get that, but surely they would see the big picture and be like, I mean, yeah, we like this guy. We're playing good defense, but I mean, we've also blown some games. The offense hasn't consistently gotten things going. We haven't won enough. So I'm not that concerned about that. It can't just be Jim Harbaugh or Matt Eberflus. Like, if you're thinking, hey, we'd like Jim Harbaugh, well, aren't you saying that you don't like Matt Eberflus enough? So that's kind of how I look at it. BTW, Justin Fields needs another weapon. Darnell Mooney doesn't do it. Brock Bowers, Neighbors, MHJ are the guys we need. We're not getting all three of those guys. To get in this draft, Eberflus is a good coach. Getsy's not. Get rid of him. Yeah, I mean, look, they might go the keep Flus, fire Getsy option. Now, who's Flus going to get? He's going to bring his former boss, Frank Reich, to run this offense? Maybe. It was a disaster in Carolina, but he also didn't have much to work with. So, I think that could be an okay outcome. It wouldn't be my preferred outcome, but I do think Ryan Poles likes Flus. Does he like him enough to keep him? I don't know. Appreciate all the super chats. Another one here from Bright DMC. Do you think Mooney could bring us a second or third? Guys, no. I'm not even going to get – yeah, Johnny Wilson, I like him too. But number one, Mooney's a free agent. Number two, he hasn't been good enough to franchise tag him because it costs too much. And even if you did, second or third, no chance. He'd be a day 3 pick value at this point. And look, I like Darnell. He's a leader on this team. It's a shame the last couple of years haven't gone great for him, but we got to live in reality. That 1,000-yard season is 2.5 years ago. Like, he hasn't shown to be that player in recent years. And I think it's very telling. Yes, DJ Moore is a far more talented receiver. But he comes in, and from day one, him and Justin Fields have this unreal on-field chemistry. And him and Darnell Mooney, who are best friends, work out together all the time in the offseason, supposed to have this chemistry. They can't figure it out together on the field. I'd be shocked if Mooney was back next year. I really would. Subscribe. We got a busy offseason ahead for the Chicago Bears. This is the perfect time to get in. You got the last couple of weeks here. We'll have watch parties against the Falcons and the Packers. If by some miracle they make the playoffs, we'll have watch parties for that as well. And then it's full offseason mode. We're kind of already hybrid offseason mode here on Chicago Bears now. So if you want to stay up to date with everything going around this football team, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. You're not going to want to miss out. Corey Griffin, bringing Urlacher or Tillman for defensive coordinator. Both have high IQs. Sure, but they also aren't coaches. Like, to my knowledge, neither has coached at the collegiate or NFL level. Maybe Urlacher or Tillman has coached at the high school level, but Tillman, after he retired, became an FBI agent. I don't know if he's still doing that, but, like, I get, like, we always look toward, like, historic figures in the franchise's history, and we're like, oh, yeah, make him the coach. It's not realistic. And who's to say they even want to coach? DC Viper, what draft targets could you see fall in the first round, and who would you take? Kitchens, Mims, or King? Kitchens, I assume you're talking about the Miami safety. Kalen King is the Penn State corner. I've seen him dip a bit. He might go around 2. Getting confused on Mims, who you're talking about with Mims. Are you talking about the Georgia tackle, Adarius Mims, offensive tackle? By the way, I don't think you need a corner. I don't think you need Kalen King. A, I think Jalen Johnson will be here next year, and B, if he is, you have 4 really good corners. You have Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevenson, and Terrell Smith, all playing good right now. So I don't think you really need a corner. You got depth behind them in Jalen Jones and Josh Blackwell. Cameron Kitchens is an interesting one if you want to go safety to replace Eddie Jackson. If you cut him, he could be a cut candidate. So perhaps he could be a guy you take late round 1, early day 2. Bearman, Do you see the Chargers trading a king's ransom for the first overall pick due to their salary cap hell this offseason? I mean, what are they doing? Are they cutting Keenan Allen, cutting Khalil Mack, and drafting Marvin Harrison? I guess maybe. I don't think they have to trade up to number 1 to do that, but I do think the Chargers are going to look different next year. I think Khalil Mack is probably going to be on a new team again next year. Maybe the Bears if he gets cut. Who said that? He'd be a fun edge opposite of Montez Sweat, veteran edge rusher. But I don't think they're trading to number 1. Who you guys got on Sunday? Type CHI for the Chicago Bears or ATL for the Atlanta Falcons. I like the Bears again this week. They're favorites at home. Taylor Heineke's a little better than Desmond Ridder. He's also less mobile. Should be a team you beat. We'll see if they can get it done. Papi Chulo sits. Any 49ers coaches worth taking a look at? You know, I was talking to our 49ers host guy here at Chat Sports, Chase Sr., and I don't really think so. I mean, they have Clint Kubiak. If you go the keep Flus, hire an OC route, he could be in that role, but I don't think they have anybody worth making head coach. I know Steve Wilkes made a decent case last year to be the Panthers head coach, but, you know, Niners fans at times haven't loved him this year, so I don't think that's a guy you're going to replace Flus with. So, other than Kubiak as an OC candidate, I don't think so, actually, which is kind of weird because the 49ers have pumped out some good coaches recently. Eamon Elias, do you think there's a chance in any position we bring in a guy like Lincoln Riley or Cliff Kingsbury to work with Caleb Williams? I'm not hiring Lincoln Riley as my head coach. I might hire Cliff Kingsbury as my offensive coordinator if you keep Matt Eberflus. Definitely open to that. I'd take Lincoln Riley as the OC, but I don't think he's leaving USC's head coaching post to be an NFL offensive coordinator. But I've kind of soured on the idea of Lincoln Riley as a head coach. I'm not going that route. Appreciate all the questions. If you have any more, you know where to find me, at HGramNFL on social media. Same handle on Twitter and on Instagram. It is at HGramNFL. We'll continue the discussion over there. Bear down. All right. Aaron Wolf, what similarities do you think there are between Jim Harbaugh and Jim Morrison? Is that the actor Jim Morrison? Who is he talking about?
Dude,
here?
I have no clue.
There's an actor, I believe, named Jim Morrison. Clarify in the chat, Aaron. Jim Morrison, or the singer? Oh, he's the lead singer in
Aaron says The Doors.
The Doors.
The singer.
So
I don't really understand
the answer is none.
So, no.
By the way, Jim Morrison, it's actually really sad. He died at 27.
Sad.
1971. So I don't think someone who died 50 years ago and Jim Harbaugh have a lot in
I'm
common.
not going to lie. I think that is the most random question we have ever been asked.
I think I'm with
Bears Now.
That's interesting, Aaron.
Ever since I've been here, at least.
That was very random. Captain Salty, Justin can't hit a moving target, not 11's fault. Well, he hits DJ Moore on the move all the time. That's kind of my point. Like, he hits Cole Kmet on the move all the time. Like, what's the problem? I don't know. It's just bizarre. Jim Morrison. What a question. Nixon, the reason your question didn't come through on the mailbag is because you did Bears hashtag. It's got to be hashtag Bears, but I'll read it now. He says, trade Fields, draft Marvin Harrison and Joe Alt, multiple first-round picks, draft J.J. McCarthy and Bo Nix, build the team around the cheaper options in later rounds. Cheaper options in later rounds. So not only are you trading Fields, but you're gonna roll with JJ or Bo Nix as your Week 1 starter next year. If you're trading Fields, you're drafting a QB with the first pick. That I'm confident in. Now, could you take JJ or Bo Nix if you keep Fields? Take one of those guys on day 2? Yeah. In fact, I'd be very open to that. But if you're trading Fields, you're going QB number 1. You're going QB number 1. Shy says, you got people saying to trade Purdy. It's just something stupid people in every NFL franchise say, trade the QB. Atlanta will beat the Bears. Maybe. Nick says, nice way to retort with factual information and not bullshit. I don't know if you're talking about me or someone else. Henry says, Harrison, what players... Rolly had to step out for a second, so I'm reading some questions. Harrison, what players do you think is a good fit, free agency or draft, for the free safety position if Bears cut Eddie Jackson? I do like that guy from Miami. I like Rod Moore out of Michigan. What's up? Got Marshall Green.
For Bears.
This guy started the sub for Bears Dubs movement.
I got my blue and orange on today, baby.
Let's go.
Bears.
Bear down, baby.
Bear down.
Let's go.
Are we doing Bear up next year, maybe?
So there was a guy in the chat when they started 0-4 that was like, I think we should start the Bear Up movement because this Bear Down shit isn't working. All right. Might be onto something. MVP says, Bo Nix, please stop. Yeah, like, if you want to draft him if you're keeping Fields, sure, but I'm not a Bo Nix guy. The enemy doesn't make a lateral move unless forced to. Well, that Washington's going to have a whole new coaching staff, so if they don't hire him as the head coach, then he absolutely could be your OC next year. He absolutely could be. Harrison, what'd you get for Christmas? I got a couple Bears-related things. I got some Bears sweatpants, some joggers. I also got a Rolly, do you know what Squishmallows are? Those pillows? They're like really soft pillows that are like characters usually.
I actually think I do know.
I got a Hannah got me a Bears one.
What was
very soft.
Now, here's a better question before we get to our next segment. What was your favorite gift you gave out? You gifted.
Oh gosh. I don't know if there's one that like really stands out. I got Hannah some nice jewelry that she really likes, so jewelry always hits with the ladies, guys, so that's pretty good. We got PJ some toys, but I don't know if like one sticks out over the other necessarily. He got this sick little what is it? It's a gosh, I'm completely blanking. He got like one of those like those like old school telephones where you like spin the numbers. He got one of those
I know
toy
exactly
ones.
What you're talking about.
He's all in on that.
I tell you what, that's one of the things like when I'm older and I like have a kid and stuff, like getting them gifts is gonna be sick.
Oh, it's so much. I really can't like. I think like age like 3 to 5 is when it really will get fun because like.
I'd say 5 to 8 because then they actually know what the hell's going on.
Like your like if you have a son, his first baseball mitt, like when he's 4 or 5, that's gonna be sick.
I don't know. I'm gonna be. I feel like I'm gonna be a bad dad in the form of I'm gonna like if I can, which I hope I can. I'm gonna spoil my kid.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna be a bad dad.
So like I think you can spoil your kid without like him being a spoiled kid, if that makes sense.
Oh,
like,
well, my kid will not be a spoiled brat because I'll slap the shit out of him. Just kidding.
Whoa, we don't.
Just kidding. It was a joke, guys.
Metaphorically.
Well, I mean, listen. You need to spank him. You need to spank him.
Hey now.
No, I'm being serious.
Careful. So you might get canceled for that take.
Which is a asinine thing to be canceled for, by the way, because that is the best way. At least maybe my family's very Italian. We do things old school. If you do something bad, you get spanked.
Hey, your dad pull out the belt?
No, because I was a really good kid.
But would he have?
No.
Not a belt guy?
My dad can't hit or fly.
Would your mom, would she get on your ass?
She would get upset.
So are your parents both like full Italian?
No, my dad's German.
So your mom's
Mom
Italian?
Mom is full blood. That side of the family.
Is her family from Italy?
Oh, yes.
Dude, you gotta go.
My mom's dad.
That's Hannah's side of the family.
My
They're
grandpa.
all Italian.
My grandpa's parents. So
DC says, Rolly violent. Travis, cancel Rolly.
My great-grandparents, they are from Italy. So it's not
What
that
part?
far away. Well, that's a good question. I remember my papa, which is an Italian version of grandpa. He told me that his parents like came over from Italy and like they didn't speak English for a long time.
Yeah.
So like it's like not that
it's not
far
that
off.
many generations
Yeah, it's
away.
not that far off.
You got to go visit, man. If you ever go, I'll steer you right.
I mean, I'd love to go.
Best trip of my life.
I was supposed to go in 2020, and most of you know what happened that year.
Yeah, that's a bummer. That's a bummer. It's fun, man. Great country.
I think I'd get fat. I'd eat so much pasta.
Well, dude, that's be prepared to gain 10 pounds.
Yeah.
But you just have to accept that going. I will say this,
I love pasta,
here's
too.
the thing, though. You walk everywhere.
That's
so
true.
I actually didn't gain that. I think I gained 4 or 5 pounds over 12 days. It's not bad. Like, you walk everywhere. Like, I burned 2,000 calories a day just walking around.
There you go.
Like, you're good to go. Pizza, pasta. Dude, the steak Florentina, it's forget about it.
I see some of our older generation viewers saying spanking was just very casual back in the 70s and 80s. And guess what? That generation of kids were very nice and good people. And now
you got to find
these
a balance.
youngins running amok thinking they own the joint.
To each their own. To each their own. To each their own.
I kind of saw this, by the way. This is a story or a conversation for a different day. Cowherd, I think, nailed it. That the reason why NFL players are more well-spoken, or maybe not well-spoken, but more mature is because football, contact sport, violent sport, coaches coach them hard. In basketball, it's very much more coddling and just lets you do your own thing. And
just a little more ego-driven.
And then you see them get to the NBA, and there's a lot more immaturity from the young guys.
Well, part of it is you have 19-year-olds entering the NBA versus.
And I was just I think the
college or NFL players all spend 3 years in college, so there's some growing up that takes place.
They mess up. They're getting absolutely screamed at by their coaches. In college basketball, you just don't see that as much.
Yeah.
That's why I love Tom Izzo. I always said this. If I was a 5-star prospect, I would have went to play at Michigan State. If I had my pick of litter and everybody offered me, I would have went to Michigan State. Because I know I would have gotten an unbiased lens. He wouldn't have sugar-coated things on me. It would have made me a better person. It would have made me a better basketball player. And to me, any 5-star player that goes to Michigan State and doesn't pan out, it's because that person is not willing to put in the work and take the screamings and yellings by Izzo. You got to be a different mindset to go play at Michigan State.
There's truth to that. I think there's some guys that I don't think he's one of them. I don't think he goes overboard. I think there are some guys that are just over the top for no reason.
Yeah.
Like Bobby Knight could not coach today. I love Bobby Knight.
Listen, I always responded better to the hard-ass coaches, personally.
Yeah. I mean, he was slapping players back in the day.
Gotta get yourself locked in, man. Because think about it, real question though, if you are playing for a hard-ass coach, you're not wanting to get yelled at.
You can
which
be
means you gotta get locked in.
But you can be a hard-ass coach without being over the top, though, I would say. Who's a good example of that today? I bet, dude, Belichick's probably like that. Now, they've fallen apart, so you could say his style doesn't work anymore.
He's a hard-ass coach in a different way. I don't think he's going to just absolutely yell at you, but he'll just bench you without explanation, though. It's a little bit of difference.
All right. We'll get to these super chats after this next segment. We got to keep it rolling here. What do we got coming up here? We got mock draft, which, by the way, I have no idea what you said in my ear a couple of seconds ago. I know you said something, but I don't know what you said. Oh yeah, he's only a Harbaugh guy. Yeah. Mike McDonald is only a Harbaugh guy. So yeah, it's interesting. He's had an interesting career path. All right, here we go. Mock draft, yes, 9.0 coming at you here on Chicago Bears Now. I cannot believe this is the 9th Chicago Bears mock draft that I have done throughout this season, but that's where we're at. Welcome into Bears Now by Chat Sports. My name is Harrison Graham. Another week, another Bears mock draft, and I like to spice things up. I like to mix it up, so let's have some fun. A double trade down today from the number 1 pick. Here's trade number 1. 2 first-round picks from New England, including the number 4 pick this year, plus their 2025 first-round pick. Also, 2 second-round picks, number 36 overall their second-round pick next year. New England jumps up from 4-1. Shout out to Bailey Zappi from dropping the Patriots down a couple of draft slots, which could force them to trade up if they want to get their quarterback. So now I'm sitting at 4. I got 36. I got a first and a second next year as well. I'm trading down again. And the reason I'm trading down again is both Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors were unavailable. And trading down from 1, I'm not going quarterback. The first 4 picks for Caleb Williams, and then Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors. And then at 4, I could have gone Drake May, but I opted to trade down again. So I get 7, 39, and 144 from the Tennessee Titans. Double trade down. So I've got all kinds of picks now. I got a couple first, couple seconds, extra first and second next year, picked up a 5th. Let's have a day. We're going to get into my picks here in just a second. But speaking of the number 1 pick, be honest with me. What would you do? Would you draft a quarterback or would you trade down? You could also type MHJ if you just draft Marvin Harrison. That's fine as well. D for draft a quarterback, T for trade down. Get your votes in down in the comments section below. All right, so with the number 7 overall pick, I'm going tight end Brock Bowers out of Georgia. I think at 4, Drake May went, and then 5 and 6, I think might have been both tackles. I think both Joe Alt and Olu Fashanu went. So I went Bowers here with the number 7 overall pick. He's obviously had a hell of a career at Georgia. You arguably could have the best tight end duo with him and Cole Kmet. You're seeing more offenses running 2 tight end sets, and Kmet's had to play just a ton of snaps this year because he's played both tight end positions in this Bears offense because Robert Tunyon's just been a disaster, and Mercedes Lewis is a good tight end 3, but he's got to play limited snaps at his age. And the bottom line is you just need more weapons offensively. You've got DJ Moore and Cole Kmet. That's really it, though. Decent running backs, but you need guys that can make plays with the football, and Bowers can do that. He's also a very good blocker as well, or at least an adequate blocker, so I go with him. And I'm going to double dip here on offense. I'm going to go Rome Odunze, the wide receiver out of Washington. Again, both MHJ and Neighbors were gone, but I get Odunze coming in there. He's got good size, 6'3", 210. He's good after the catch. He's explosive. He's put up 2 monster seasons the last couple of years playing at Washington with Michael Penix Jr. I love that he created even more big plays this year despite having more catches. Almost a 1,500-yard season. He probably will surpass that considering he has at least 1 more game to play, maybe 2 if Washington makes the national championship game. And you get Bowers and Odunze here, some kind of combination there to go with DJ Moore and Cole Kmet. That's a pretty damn good quartet there of weapons. DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, your top 2 receivers. Cole Kmet, Brock Bowers, your top 2 tight ends. 4 legitimate weapons from day 1 in 2024, unless one of Bowers or Odunze busts, which would surprise me, regardless of who your quarterback is. If you go Fields or if you take a quarterback a little bit later and start him, that's certainly very appealing. Obviously, the big decision will come at quarterback, what they do with Justin Fields. But in this mock, I decided to spice things up, trade down twice, get extra capital, and still add 2 premier offensive players. Prize Picks, our sponsor here on today's Chicago Bears mock draft. There are Bears games left this season. If you want to spice things up in those games, get going with Prize Picks. You can make 2 to 6 player entries on any sport, any game, different stat projections, passing yards, receiving yards, rushing yards, touchdowns, fantasy stats. All you do is select more or less on any of those projections, pair it with at least 1 other player, up to 6, and then see if you connect. And if you do, you can make a lot of money. Just if I hit on these 2, DJ Moore more on the receiving yards, less on the Geno Smith passing yards, I get 3 times my entry. $20 I put in on this one, so I would win 60 if I connect. Get started with Prize Picks today, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS as well. Sometimes they have like duo player pairings where you get like an NFL and NBA player on one entry and you get a second one as well. Kind of spices things up. It's a whole lot of fun. Prize Picks, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Get extra money when you sign up with code CLNS. They'll match your deposit match up to $100. Okay. Michael Penix Jr., who in a lot of mocks is going late first, early second. My gut tells me he's going to go first rounder, but he could fall to the second. He's a little bit older. He has an injury history, although he's been healthy in the entire last 2 years, which is a positive development for him as well. You look at his career stats, and his last 2 years, the completion percentage has gone up. He's been a 65+% guy, but he's played a lot of football, which I like. 47 career games, 3-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. He's mobile enough, like he's not going to scramble a lot, but he can scramble for an occasional first down or run one in the red zone every once in a while as well. And look, I do think there is an interesting scenario that could come to fruition where if you decide to keep Justin Fields, where A, you want to keep evaluating him, or B, you're just not sold on Caleb Williams or Drake May, where you kind of do what the Eagles did a few years ago, where they liked Carson Wentz a lot, but injuries were starting to pile up, and they liked Jalen Hurts, so they took him in the second round. I kind of like the idea, if you do keep Justin Fields, of still drafting a quarterback. Take one on day 2, whether it's Michael Penix. I don't love J.J. McCarthy and Bo Nix, but maybe you snatch one of those guys if you want to. A, for potential insurance if Fields doesn't keep improving, or B, as a legitimate guy you think is a starter that if Fields really doesn't take off, you don't pay him this offseason, for example, then that quarterback could start in 2025. It gives you more flexibility. It allows you to keep Fields for another year, let him continue to evaluate him, but it also gives you a guy that has starting potential, which I absolutely do think Michael Penix does. Oh, and by the way, he played with Rome Odunze, so that combination is pretty appealing as well. Subscribe to the channel, not only Chicago Bears now, hit that sub button here, but also our NFL Draft channel. This video is also being posted over there, so if you're watching there, hit that sub button. If you're watching on our Bears channel, I will have the NFL Draft channel linked in the comments and in the description, so if you want more NFL Draft coverage, mostly from Tom Downey, but from others as well, we're putting up several videos per week over there. Subscribe to Bears Now. Subscribe to our NFL Draft channel. Help us grow on both of those outlets. Okay, mostly offense in this mock draft. I'm trying to fix the offense here. Let's go defense, though. Tyler Nubin, the safety out of Minnesota. A lot of you guys watching in Big Ten country should be familiar with him. Really good size, 6'2", 6'3", over 200 pounds, but is a better coverage safety than in the box, which I really like because Eddie Jackson is very possibly going to be cut because of his contract. Now, maybe he agrees to some sort of pay cut if he wants to stay in Chicago, and if he agrees to a pay cut, I'd be open to keeping him because I think Eddie Jackson can still play. I think the last month and a half, he's kind of found his game again, getting back from that foot injury, but he's not peak Eddie Jackson anymore. His cap hit's pretty big, so I think he has to, at minimum, take a pay cut to stay here. Tyler Nubin, productive player. He can play that deep safety position. Had 5 picks this past season, 4 breakups. So he can do a little bit of everything, and he's a willing tackler. Pair him with Jaquan Brisker. I think that's an intriguing young pairing. This might be the steal of this mock draft. I think Xavier Worthy's going round 2, but does have some frame concerns. He's very thin. He doesn't really project as a number 1 type of receiver, but Xavier Worthy, the receiver out of Texas, has unbelievable speed. He would be a steal in the 3rd round. Now, I don't think he's going to be a Tyreek Hill type of player. I don't think he's that dynamic. I don't think he can run the full route tree where Tyreek Hill can, but he's put up some pretty damn good numbers in 3 seasons at Texas. He's been just under 1,000 yards in all 3 seasons. He's been very consistent. I think, in a perfect world, he becomes, peak Marquise Brown, the best Marquise Brown has been in the NFL, where he's, a very, very good number 2, takes the top off the defense and really can open up other things because you have to account for him and play a safety over the top. He's that type of guy. He can be a punt returner for you as well, which I like Trent Taylor, but it would be nice to have an explosive guy back there, which they wanted with Velus Jones, but he can't catch the goddamn football. So a guy like Xavier Worthy could fill that role as well. You get him in the 3rd round. He's your number 3 next to DJ Moore and Rome Odunze. Whew, sign me up for that. What is the Bears' biggest roster need? Is it quarterback? Is it center? Is it edge? Is it wide receiver? Let me know. I think there's a lot of areas the Bears could go early on in these drafts, but I think just adding offensive talent is the top need for me. Go a little quicker on these day 3 picks. Guess what? Cedric Van Pran. It's like clockwork here. If he's sitting there 3rd, 4th round, I'm taking him. PFF, he's checked out, graded well. Depending on if you run a similar style offense, like a Shanahan type of offense, I think he fits that mold of the body build of offensive lineman that Ryan Poles likes. He's got good athleticism, so I would certainly like to plug and play him there at center. Muhammad Kamara, we talked about him in a couple of our earlier mock drafts. Edge out of Colorado State. This guy put up some unbelievable numbers this year. 17 tackles for loss, 13 sacks. I watched Colorado State earlier this year, and look, as the season went on, we realized Colorado's offensive line was a joke, but he literally controlled the game. They could not block him. He was after Shedeur Sanders all night. He almost single-handedly won that game for Colorado State. Colorado had this crazy comeback, but he was sensational in that game on a very big stage and in front of a huge audience. I think he's a guy who, as a rookie, can be a rotation pass rusher and be productive. Donovan Jackson, offensive guard out of Ohio State. I haven't loved how Nate Davis has played recently. I think he's going to be your starting right guard next year, but I think adding a backup guard could make sense because I think Cody Whitehair is going to be gone. I like Ja'Tyre Carter, but you probably need another guy in there, especially, too, with Tevin Jenkins' injury history. You're going to need 2 backup guards, so Carter can be one of them. I think a guy like Donovan Jackson on day 3, who's played pretty well for Ohio State, could be another guy. Antoine Powell-Ryland, the defensive lineman out of Virginia Tech, he's kind of an edge, 3-tech hybrid, had good SAT production this year, so he's an intriguing name in the 5th round. How about Keith Randolph Jr.? I mean, look at that freaking photo. He looks like he's going to murder your quarterback. Good size, gives you some defensive tackle depth. You could kind of redshirt him as a rookie. You wouldn't need him to play a ton. And then just kind of a fun pick in the 7th round. I do think adding a running back at some point in free agency or in the draft is going to happen. Rasheem Ali, very productive at Marshall. I think he had 1,200 yards or something this year, so keep an eye on him as well. Grade today's Bears mock draft: A, B, C, D, or F. The double trade down, fix the offense mock draft. That was kind of the theme of this one. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know how you would grade this mock draft. And subscribe to the channel. Yep, this is Mock Draft 9.0. You know what that means. 10.0 is on deck. We'll have more draft videos coming out. Trade ideas, draft targets, mock drafts. We're covering it all. Hit that sub button. Don't miss a video here on Chicago Bears Now. DeAndre Jackson.
I still can't get over that guy's photo. I literally saw it while we were checking graphics beforehand.
Oh, my God.
I laughed out loud.
Who? Keith Randolph?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Oh, my God. He looks like he wants to kill somebody.
I think he does.
Not? I mean, that's the guy on day 3. Sign me up. I want violent football players.
Might as well, right?
Yeah. Slept on coach that you want to hire. Most slept on? Throw a name at me, Rolly. Who's just a guy that's getting no buzz at all? I think Patrick Graham, dude. I'd rather go offense, but what that guy has done in Vegas with that defense is pretty damn impressive. He's a good coach, man.
I don't know.
Todd Monken's interesting to me. He's a little older.
Slept on?
Bobby Slowick, is he in that category? I didn't include him in that video because we've talked about him a few times.
I feel like
he's beyond the under the radar at this point.
His luster went down a little bit, though.
I mean, they lose C.J. Stroud. That certainly hurts. Tank Dell got hurt. I don't know. I hit 5 under the radar guys. Mike McDonald, I think he'll be a head coach soon. How fast that guy's rising. As far as who I'd want here, Monken's an interesting one, man. I think his offense is very NFL friendly. It likes using the tight ends. If you brought in a guy like Brock Bowers, a guy he coached, I think a Bowers, Cole Kmet, 2 tight end set base offense, 12 personnel with Todd Monken could be very successful regardless of who the quarterback is. So I like Monken, man. J-Man 3, how do you feel about Bieniemy being an assistant head coach, and if Flus underperforms, then having Bieniemy take over as a head coach midseason? I like that idea. I don't like the idea of entering a season of, well, if it doesn't work out, we'll just fire the coach. If you're already having that thought, Rolly, shouldn't you just fire the coach? Now, if you like believe in Flus and want Bieniemy as the OC, I'm cool with that's fine. But I don't think like there should be a thought in the back of your head of, well, let's just give Flus another crack at it, and if he sucks, we'll fire him week 8. Like, that's just not the vote of confidence I'm looking for. Like, you either got to be in on Flus or you got to make a change. So that's where I'm at. Paleo, bear up with. That's right. That was you, Paleo.
Paleo was the leader of the bear up.
So Marsh came in when you were out there and said, because I said bear down. He goes, how about bear up? And I was like, well, it's funny you say that. Someone earlier this year on Bears
when Paleo
Now
was trying to rally the coop.
Yeah, we may have to start the bear up campaign next year. That's if we do, Paleo, you're getting credit. Alex, he says, Harrison, do you believe Dexter will break out next season? Also, by far, which player is your MVP this year from the defense and the offense? DJ Moore offensively. That's not even a question. Defensively, I mean, is it crazy to say Montez Sweat? The defense took off once he got here, Rolly. TJ Edwards, if you want to go a guy who's been here from the beginning, he's been pretty consistent all year.
Well,
I think Sweat, since he's been here, has been your most impactful defensive player.
Yeah,
not
but
even
just
close.
pure volume.
Oh, Jalen Johnson.
Jalen Johnson.
Yeah. Jalen Johnson. Yeah, I take that back. Jalen Johnson. I think Sweat, since he's been here, has probably been the most impactful. And then maybe most just like steady TJ Edwards. I don't know why I forgot about Jalen Johnson. Yeah, Johnson won. That trio's been good, man. Edmonds has played better recently, but not MVP. Dexter's come on. The defense is playing good ball, man. How about both rookie corners, Tyreek Stevenson and Terrell Smith? I think Terrell Smith had a 90 PFF grade this week. Been good, man.
I mean, I thought he was playing good the entire game. I remember thinking that out loud to my head. I don't know if the end of this should be pushed across.
Yeah, Aaron, I'm gonna keep that one off screen. I'm not trying to be controversial on this show. Appreciate the super chat though. Appreciate the super chat. All right, we got one more segment to go.
One more seg. We got Bears playoff path, baby.
Anna was trying to call. Hang on a sec. Sorry, guys. I'm going out of town tonight or in the morning, so we're trying to figure things out. Okay. All right. One more segment here on Bears Now, and then we will keep it rolling here on the channel. Last segment is the insanely slight playoff chances for the Bears. Plus, we'll take a look at Bears-Falcons this week. So stay tuned. We got you guys covered. Before we kick off today's episode of Chicago Bears Now, can we get to 83,000 subs by the end of the year? New Year's Day is upon us. I can't believe 2023 is almost over. It's been a hectic year for the Bears, been a hectic year for me. You guys have been awesome with the support. If we get to 83,000, that would be an awesome way to end the year. We're just over 700 away. If you want the latest Bears news and rumors for free, if you want off-season coverage on a daily basis, most days, multiple videos per day, subscribe today. Spread the word to a Bears fan of yours. I would appreciate it. Let's dive into today's show. Playoffs? Probably not. But there is a path for the Chicago Bears, and I figured, hey, let's just have an informational video here. Let's break down the path for the Bears, see where things sit in the NFC Playoff Picture, and then we'll take a look at Bears-Falcons this week as well. So this is how the playoff picture sits right now. They did get to Week 17, not eliminated from the playoffs, so I suppose that's something, although 3 fourth-quarter collapses would suggest it should have been a lot more. Obviously, you look, the math is pretty simple there. You're 2 games back with 2 games to go. So if both the Rams and Seattle get to win number 9, that is eliminated. So hopefully that does not happen. At least this week, hopefully at least one of those teams lose and these slight chances continue. There's also a lot of traffic there with teams with 7 wins. Right now, the Bears' playoff chances are 1% entering Week 17. If they win out, 4%. So let's be clear, very slim odds. You need a lot to go your way, but there is a path. I don't want to say it's impossible, but it's pretty close to it. And what's frustrating is if you just won one of these games, 2 of these games, you should have won all 3. There's a stat out there that losing all 3 of these games was like 0.003% chance, and they pulled it off. I mean, it's incredible. You had 99% chance to beat Denver and Detroit. I think it was 92% chance at one point to beat Cleveland. Didn't get the deal done. If you won one of these and you went out, you'd probably be in the playoffs. Now you went out, you need crazy help. It's frustrating. It's why the coach might be fired. It's why you might change quarterbacks, but that's just the reality of the situation. But can't live in the past, so let's talk about what needs to happen for the Bears to get to the postseason. So let's take a look at Week 17 first. I mean, the first step in all this is the Bears have to take care of business. So obviously they have to beat the Falcons. And then these 2 things need to happen as well to have a realistic shot. Now, if only one of the Rams and Seahawks lose and the other wins, there's still like a 0.08% chance, 1% chance that if a ton of other stuff happens, you could get in. But you really need both of these to happen to have a realistic shot. You need the Giants to beat the Rams. Game is in New York, cross-country flight. You never know. Maybe the Rams come in sleepwalking, but they've been really good recently. Steelers in Seattle. It's going to be a tough cross-country flight for Seattle or Pittsburgh to win that game, but they didn't win last week. That's kind of a 50-50 type of game, although I'd give Seattle the edge. If those 3 results happen, the Bears win and both the Rams and Seahawks lose, then it jumps up to roughly 28% based on the New York Times playoff simulator entering Week 18. And you get to Week 18 with a 1-in-4 chance. Okay, I mean, at 7-9, that's all you can really ask for at that point. So let's just say that happens. Other notable games before we get to Week 18. Panthers at Jags. If the Panthers lose one of their final 2 games, that locks up the Bears' number 1 overall pick. So hopefully it just happens this week. Then we don't have to worry about it in Week 18. Packers at Vikings. There are slight percentage shifts depending on who wins that one. I think it's actually better if the Packers win because the Bears do play the Packers in Week 18 and can handle them head-to-head potentially. And then Saints at Buccaneers. There are potential percentage shifts there as well. Obviously, the Bears lost both those games head-to-head. It's better probably if the Bucs go ahead and win because they're already at 8 wins. Let them win the NFC South. New Orleans loses out. That gives you a better alternate avenue, if you will. Okay, Week 18. Needed results. The Bears have to beat the Packers, obviously. The Cardinals have to beat the Seahawks. This is when it's like, ugh. It is in Arizona. Seattle's been a wonky team. Do they play spoiler? Maybe. I doubt it, but you got that. 49ers over Rams. I mean, San Francisco losing to Baltimore means that they'll almost certainly have to play their guys in Week 18. That game is in San Francisco, by the way, so you feel like that's at least a good possibility that the 49ers would take care of business. If these 3 results happen after the ones in Week 17, well, now you're at 73% chance. And the reason it's not, clear 100% or 0 because, well, there's different tiebreakers. There's also other games here. And if you add in these 2, so the 6 results we've already talked about, the 2 Bears wins, the 2 losses for both the Rams and Seahawks, so that's 6 total games. If you add in these 2, if the Lions beat the Vikings in Week 18, your playoff chances jump to 87%. If the Falcons beat the Saints in Week 18, you're in. It's 100%. Now, again, if one or both of these don't happen, you're still at 73%. There's just a lot more tiebreakers that come into play. There could be 3 or 4 teams that you have to work through tiebreakers, but still pretty good odds there at 73%. But again, let me just simplify it for you. The Bears have to win out. Play Atlanta at home, Packers on the road. Obviously, if they lose either game, you're out. And both the Seahawks and Rams must lose out because when you look at the simulator, if you give the Rams or Seahawks a single win, obviously it gets them to 9, so you can't reach them. But even if only one of those teams gets to 9 and the other one stays at 8, the tiebreakers just don't work in the Bears' favor. It says less than 1%, which tells me probably goes to strength of victory, and the Bears just don't have it, which is why having those 3 fourth-quarter losses was brutal because most tiebreakers aren't going to fall in the Bears' favor. So they need Seattle and the Rams to lose out. They got to win out. If that happens, 3 3/4 chance of getting in. It's unlikely because the Seahawks play the Cardinals, who stink. The Rams play the Giants, who stink. At least those are both on the road, but I still do not expect anything crazy to happen there. But that is the Bears' playoff path if you are still hoping for an opportunity. What do I hope for? Just get to Week 18 with even the tiniest chance possible. That would at least give that Bears-Packers game a little more juice heading into the final week of the year. Which brings me to this question. Will the Bears enter Week 18 with a chance? Type Y for yes, type N for no, because, again, if both the Rams and Seahawks win this week, you're out, because that gets them both the 9 wins, and that all 3 wildcard teams are at 9. So you can't have them both win this week, otherwise you're mathematically eliminated. Y for yes, N for no. Your best chance of being at least slightly alive this week is probably Pittsburgh being Seattle in Seattle, which is not going to be easy. So coming up, we got a Bears-Falcons preview. We got 5 things I'm keeping an eye on in this one, so stay tuned. But first, I do want to show some love to our sponsor, Rocket Money, a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. With Rocket Money, you can easily cancel subscriptions you don't want anymore with just the press of a button. No more long hold times or annoying emails with customer service. Rocket Money will do all of the work for you. So if you want to get rid of Netflix, if you want to get rid of Hulu or anything else, click the cancel button next to it on your list of subscriptions, and you are good to go. Rocket Money can even negotiate to lower your bills by up to 20%. All you have to do is take a picture of your bill, and Rocket Money will take care of the rest. 5 million users and counting have signed up with Rocket Money. Guess what? They're saving customers an average of $720 per year and over $1 billion in total savings. That is incredible, and I can attest to that. I'm saving tons of money every single month. I was allowed to be more frugal this Christmas because of it with my budget. So stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel those unwanted subscriptions and start managing your money the Rocket Money way. RocketMoney.com/Bears now. That link is in the comments and in the description. Use our link to download the app today. That supports us, and you're going to be supporting yourself with Rocket Money. All right, let's take a look at this week 17 matchup, Falcons at Bears. In a lot of ways, these teams have had some similar seasons where there was like cautious optimistic coming into the year, but it's also resulted in disappointing results, even though I don't think either fan base expected major things. They've kind of had some similar seasons. Falcons have QB questions, although I think the Bears one is a lot more difficult. I do think the Falcons would love to have Justin Fields. They're also probably going to fire their coach, Arthur Smith, whereas the Bears might fire Matt Eberflus. So there's some parallels here, and the ultimate connection here is that Justin Fields could be the Falcons QB next year. We'll see if that happens. But Bears are, I think, 3-point favorites last time I checked at Soldier Field this Sunday at noon. Here are some things I want to see in this matchup. Can Khalil Herbert do it again? I would like to have some more clarity at the running back position going into the offseason because it's been very up and down. I told you guys before last week, I think you might have to make a somewhat notable move at running back because, it hadn't been good the last several weeks. Foreman had a good stretch, then he kind of slowed down. Khalil Herbert hadn't looked the same after the high ankle sprain. This is the best he had looked in a while. I still don't think he had that 100% burst. There were a couple runs where I'm like, oh, man, I feel like earlier in the year or last year, he gets more yards there, but he looked closer. He looked 90, 95%. He ran the ball well, 112 yards and a touchdown. I would give him the start again. He is under contract next year. Deontay Foreman is not. If Herbert can finish the year strong, then maybe you're content with him and Roschon. You add some kind of third running back, and you don't invest more than that at running back. But if you have questions there, maybe you consider a bigger investment at the position. You would prefer not to, but I want to see if Khalil Herbert can do it again this week. I would give him the start. Can a third weapon offensively do something, running backs aside? Outside of DJ Moore and Cole Kmet, can someone do anything? Like, seriously, Darnell Mooney, can you do something? And maybe some of that's on Justin Fields. They've been off all year. Can Tyler Scott make a play? I had a bold prediction last week. Hey, he's going to get a bunch of targets, have 4 or 5 catches. No targets. How is that possible? Velus Jones, I don't really care who it is. I'd prefer it not to be a Mercedes Lewis touchdown. I love Mercedes Lewis, but I'd love to see a young guy show something, be something for next year. DJ Moore and Cole Kmet are the only playmakers. And by the way, both are banged up right now. So I would much prefer someone else decide, hey, I can make some plays too. So we'll see if that can happen. That's something I want to see. How about a Terrell Smith interception? He's really putting together a nice rookie season. He missed 3 or 4 weeks with mono in the middle of the year, which kind of sucked, but came back. They've kind of been platooning him and Tyreek Stevenson, which usually I wouldn't be a fan of, but both have played well. They seem to embrace it and build off each other's success. I mean, you look at Terrell Smith's PFF grades. He's played just under 300 snaps. Tyreek definitely plays more snaps, but he's getting like 30% of the snaps or so in these games recently. Overall grade, good. Coverage, pretty good. He's a willing tackler. He's got 5 breakups. The only thing missing on his rookie campaign is an interception, and he's been close a couple times, so I'd like to see him get one late in the year. I think that would be a good reward for him. 5th-round rookie. I mean, this is a really good pick for Ryan Poles, the value. I mean, he's an excellent number 4 corner. I'm still very much in the camp of keep Jalen Johnson. I'm seeing some of Bears Twitter. Well, maybe you tag and trade him, and you roll with Stevenson and Smith on the outside, and Kyler in the slot. To me, you don't get rid of a young lockdown number 1 corner like Jalen Johnson is. I like Terrell Smith. I like Tyreek Stevenson, but corner is also a position where you like to have depth. I would not do that. I would keep Jalen Johnson. That being said, I want to see Terrell Smith continue to get opportunities, and hopefully he can get an interception here. How about another rookie getting being part of a takeaway? Javon Dexter forced fumble. He's been coming on as of late. Since Montez Sweat came on board, he's played a lot better, getting a dominant player next to him. I'd like to see him make an impactful play in this game. Get home, get to Taylor Heineke, and strip sack him. That is what I would like to see. That would be awesome. I think, like Smith, that would be a nice reward for him for getting a little bit better throughout the season, and that could also send a message to Ryan Poles like, hey, maybe this is the 3 technique for the future. And then, I wanted to save the quarterback for last. I'd like to see Justin Fields show out. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. We're going to continue to talk about the latest rumors. Obviously, there's going to be, reports that come out, speculation out there. We're going to discuss it all. But this could be the end. And if it is, this is his final game at Soldier Field. That's very much a possibility, at least as the Bears quarterback. He, of course, should come back for another team and play here in the future. But, look, just, embrace this for what it is, Justin. If by some tiny chance you're watching this video, I hope you soak it in, because there's a lot of us out there that believe in you. There's a lot of us out there that want you to be the guy, that have wanted you to, that still want you to. But there's also a scenario out there where the Bears move on. And I hope he goes out with a bang. I hope he balls out and torches Atlanta. And the ultimate irony would be torching Atlanta and then Atlanta saying, that's who I want. Would that not be ironic? He's from Georgia. It would knock the Falcons essentially out of playoff contention, and they might sit there and say, well, we need a quarterback like that. Let's go trade for him. I hope he balls out. I would like nothing more for him, whether that means he gets to stay here long term or whether that means this is kind of his last hurrah at Soldier Field. The future is the future. We don't know what's going to happen, but I do hope he plays really well this Sunday. What do you guys think? Not what you want, what you think. Will this be Justin Fields' final game at Soldier Field as the Bears quarterback? I'm sure even if he gets traded, he'll come back and play her someday, maybe even next year, depending on the schedule. Will this be his final game? What do you guys think at Soldier Field? Type 1 for yes. Type 0 for no. Let us know in the comment section down below. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. Very slim playoff chances, but if the Rams and Seahawks both lose this week, we officially are on Week 18 watch. Technically, if just one of them lose, there's still a tiny scenario in Week 18, although it is far-fetched. If that happens, we'll have those scenarios in a video for you guys next week as well. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. I am Harrison Graham. Hit that subscribe button for more videos. All right, Captain Salty, shame you have to tiptoe around dumping Fields. It's not, you guys shouldn't view it that way. I can do whatever I want. This is my show. I just want to take in the entire situation. I want to make sure the Bears do get the number 1 pick. I want to make sure I've seen him play the rest of the season. I want to kind of just consider all the information at my disposal. I want to see what they do at coach, to be honest. Like, if they're changing coaches, like, I want to see what happens there. Like, if Jim Harbaugh comes in here and says, I want to keep Justin Fields, then that's probably what I want to roll with too. So, and look, I truly believe that both sides of the argument have validity. Like, there are pros and cons to both. Now, I will also gladly sit here and say right now today, regardless of what happens, the probably most ideal outcome at this point is you reset and have an awesome quarterback for 4 or 5 years on a rookie deal. Like, it's just timing. Like, I'll say this too. Like, if Justin Fields was coming out next year and you could plug him into this roster rebuild that's happened, that would be awesome. Like, next year being his rookie or second season would be awesome. But that's just not what it is. It's his 4th year. So if you keep him, then, you know, contract discussions are going to happen a year from now, potentially. So it's tough. It's not easy. I see both sides of it. I'm kind of at peace with it, like I said. If they move on, it's a bummer for him that it didn't work out here. The timing of things didn't seem to be in his favor. But like he said, life isn't always fair. And if they keep him and continue to build this roster, then, you know, because I'll say this, man, if some team is offering you 3 firsts and a premium player for the number 1 overall pick, that's something you got to consider. It just is. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out.
Question.
What's up?
Because it actually just reminded me you said premium player. Obviously.
Because that's what they did last year. DJ
yeah,
Hill.
well.
2 firsts in it.
Say New England did want to trade up from 4 to 1. Would you accept this deal?
If they're at 4? Like,
yes, they finish at 4.
Okay.
Obviously, you get number 4.
Yep.
You get a second rounder either this year or the next year.
Probably take it this year.
Whichever one, 24, 25. And then you get Christian Barmore. Yes or no?
Is he more of a 3-tech or a 1-tech?
3.
3? How many sacks do you have this year?
I don't know, but he had 3 on Sunday. He's just been absolutely dominant this
He's
year.
been really good. I do agree. I guess my question would be and this probably isn't a question for you. This is probably more of a question.
8.5 sacks this year.
This is probably more of a question for the next coach. Can him and Dexter play next to each other? Or do you just platoon them?
No, I think they can because he's been really good.
Because remember, you have Billings who's going to play some.
He's played alongside, and I don't know the stat off the top of my head of like the snap count and stuff like that. But he plays alongside Devon Godshaw, who's more of a 1-tech. But he plays alongside Lawrence Guy and lets in the middle of the defense, and then obviously
because Dexter is more of a 3-tech. At least that's how I see him.
I don't know. Someone just brought it up of just like 2 first-round picks, or
so number 4, a second, and Barmore. I probably need another pick. The number 1 pick has insane value. Like, you look at the draft charts, doesn't it drop down to like 600, the number 2 pick? Something like that?
Would
you do that?
I don't even know if I would. Because a Bears fan was in Patriots today on Sunday and asked that. But the
Barmore's sick.
The question he asked was this year's first, next year's first, and Barmore from 4 to 1. And I was like, probably not.
DC says, I'm not taking a defensive tackle on a trade for the first pick. I do think with Dexter's emergence that another edge is probably a bigger need because Sweat's a damn good player, but like they don't really have any other good edges. Like Walker's better inside. Domrob stinks. Yannick, he's probably gone. Like, does Yannick get $4 million on the open market next year? Maybe 1 year, $5 million, some kind of incentive deal? Like, he ain't getting 10 guaranteed like he got this year.
Fernie says, give us Barmore and Duggar.
4 Barmore, Duggar in a second?
I wouldn't give you another pick outside of 4.
See, I don't even want to because you have to pay Duggar.
Yeah, you would have to.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather just have Barmore and another pick.
I would say though, Duggar is a stud.
Oh, I love Duggar. It's just you're gonna have to. Has Barmore been paid yet?
He's this is his 3rd year.
So you're gonna have to pay him soon.
Yeah, he was a second-round pick, so next year is his last year.
I don't think any trade they do will have 2 players that you have to pay. It'll be like 1 guy.
I didn't realize Barmore. Obviously, a 3-sack game is going to inflate your stats, but I didn't even know Barmore was at
He's got to be
5.5
up there for interior.
as an
guy.
interior. He's been. I honestly think he'll be on the All-Pro team this year, whether it be second team or first team. But that's how good he's been. He's been unbelievable. If you look at the advanced stats too, and I know PFF.
He's got 46 pressures, which is pretty good as an interior guy.
His
PFF pass rush is 87.
I know like one of the guys I follow tweets about like double team rate and like pass win rate, and like his like numbers analytically are just so crazy.
I mean, he's got 46 pressures on 431 pass rush snaps. That's what, like 11%. It's pretty good.
He's so good, man. And to think if Judon was still rushing the passer, he'd even get less attention.
Judon would be interesting. Take on Judon.
I don't know how many years he has left. It might be 2.
He's 31, so I don't think he'd have nearly as much value in a trade as Barmore would.
I think Judon might be in his last year, unless he signed an extension.
Judon 4. Would you do Judon 4?
Yeah, 2024 is Judon's last
Would
year.
you do Judon 4 next year's first? Probably not, right?
Judon, so 2 first and Judon? Nah, probably not.
You'd have to be really sold on quarterback. Which, look, I mean, if you trade him to 1, you probably are, so. Be interesting. All right, we got to go. I'm traveling, so I got other stuff I got to do. We'll have videos every single day that go out on the channel. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. We'll be back Sunday as well live. No Thursday live this week because I'm out of town. But Sunday live. Come check us out. We'll be live 10:45 like we always are on those Sunday watch parties. Shout out to you guys. Good chat today. Appreciate Rolly as well. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. See you guys soon here on Chicago Bears Now.